Welcome to Classic Wide World of Sports. I'm Chris Fowler. On February 25th, 1964, a young Cassius Clay became the heavyweight champion of the world for the first time with a 7th-round TKO of Sonny Liston.
Sonny Liston's not coming out! Sonny Liston is not coming out! He's out! The winner and the new heavyweight champion of the world is Cassius Clay, last time going up into the ring!
That was the voice of Howard Cosell covering the fight for ABC Radio. It was the first of many Ali fights Cosell would cover for ABC Sports. The new champion and the lawyer-turned-broadcaster are both on the cusp of being regular attractions on ABC's Wide World of Sports. The day after the victory, Clay confirmed to the press that he joined the Nation of Islam. A week later, he was given his new name, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad meaning worthy of all praise, and Ali meaning Most High. A rematch with Liston was scheduled for November of 1964 in Boston, but Ali Liston II would face delays. A hernia operation for Ali caused the fight to be postponed for 6 months, and there were other complications brewing. The promoter of the bout was allegedly tied to organized crime. And on February 21, 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated, causing interracial tensions across the country. No big city wanted the fight. Amidst fears of violence, it was eventually moved to the small town of Lewiston, Maine. Prior to the bout, Cosell visited Ali at his fight camp.
These are the hills surrounding the little town of Chicopee, Massachusetts, just off the Massachusetts Turnpike. And this, at which you're looking, is the now nationally famous bus of the heavyweight champion of the world. Here is the Shine Inn, which is where the heavyweight champion has his training camp in preparation for the defense of his crown against Sonny Liston. And on the second floor of the building, which you see behind the heavyweight champion of the world and myself, is the ring where the champion trains, and I suspect that the viewers would like to see you work out today, just 3 days before the bout, champ. Shall we go up?
Yeah, let's go. Let's let them get the last look, and then they'll know how to bet the money.
With the usual modesty, the champion speaks. Let's move. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Words by trainer Drew Bundini. Shirt by Step and Fetch It. And, of course, this is Angie Dundee, who is really the manager of the heavyweight champion of the world. And, Angie, I trust you'll join me in commentary as we watch the champion work out. Angie, why against a light heavyweight?
Well, I wanted to see, this is a new wrinkle from the last fight. I wanted to see if he can outspeed a lighter man.
It appears to me that he's adopting the same tactics he did in the first fight, moving steadily to the left.
Well, there's no sense in changing success. My spies in Liston's camp tell me he's in great shape, which is good. I want him to knock out the best Liston's coach. This is what he will do come May 25th. He'll knock him out. He'll knock him out in 11 or 12 rounds.
Is there anything Liston can do to neutralize Clay's footwork?
Only thing Liston can do is try to get lucky.
Always keeps moving to the left. Fought that way the first time, the Jersey Joe and Sugar Ray technique.
Well, he can go the other way, too.
Where is this side-to-side action, Angie?
He'll show it to you. Well, here's your side-to-side. You asked me for it. There it is. All right, bang, he dropped the right hand in. Now, if that was in front of a bigger man, he would have surrounded him.
Well, Angie, that wraps up the champ's sparring for today. Just 2 rounds.
That's correct. He's there now, and we don't want to leave it here.
Thanks a million for your commentary, and with your permission, as soon as the champ robes up, I'll talk with him in the ring.
Great, thank you.
Good luck. And here, fully robed after the workout you've just seen, comes the heavyweight champion of the world himself. Good to see you, champ.
Howard Cosell, the world's greatest newscaster. How you feeling?
You're very kind, champ, but let's get to cases. You look almost like you're ready for the fight right now.
You're about right, almost ready after another week. I'm a little tired now. I'm working hard, and after about 3 more days of work and rest until Tuesday for the big night, I'll be ready.
I notice you've stopped with the poetry. You're not making any predictions. How come?
Well, I'm just, I have a prediction for the fight. But I think I'll be wise not to release it because so many people believe in my predictions and they have been accurate up to date. I'm afraid that it might hurt the gate if I let them know what's going to happen. So I'll just hold a surprise for them. I know what's going to happen.
What's going to happen?
I can't told you. I can't. Want me to tell? Let me tell him.
You can't tell him. You got to wait.
Let me tell him.
You can't tell him.
The people are waiting for the prediction.
You can't tell him.
I tell you what's going to happen. See?
No, don't tell him.
All right, come on.
I can't tell you.
You're going to knock him out. What round?
I'm not going. You want me to tell him?
Don't do that.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you because it will hurt the gate.
On the other hand, Muhammad, there continue to be people who say this is just an act on your part, that inside you're scared, that Liston's better trained for this fight. What about?
No, I don't know nothing about his training. I haven't seen him. I don't care nothing about him. All I know are the people that witnessed me here. I'm in top-notch condition. I'm fast. I'm fastest living heavyweight on 2 feet. And I don't worry about even getting hit. I have James Ellis here with me, the next world light heavyweight champion, the fella that I do predict that will knock out Jose Torres as soon as Torres quit ducking him. And he'll tell you himself, he has an awful hard time hitting me, and he's a fast light heavyweight.
All right, let's get back to you. You don't see any way that Liston can neutralize your footwork.
If he dreamed he did, he'd apologize.
On the other side of the coin, Liston seems this time to be taking you a lot more seriously than the last time.
Well, I'm taking him a lot more seriously.
Why, if you're as good as you say and as confident as you say?
I'm as confident as I say, and I'm better than I say I am. You really haven't saw the real me yet. You only saw me going into this thing as a beginner, first time, big fight, as a challenger.
You won it as a boy, you defend it as a man.
I won it as a man, and I'll defend it as a man. But I will tell you one thing. You just be there at the fight, and you will see a much better fight on my part than you did the last. I held back a lot because I thought maybe the fight might go 15. And now that I see he gets tired quick, he's old.
You think he's afraid of you?
Cuts, he's scared to death. And he cuts easy.
Let me say this to you. Good luck. I hope it's not an act. I hope you mean it.
If it's an act, just look at my record and see if have the other fights been acts. Have they been acts?
Not so far.
Well, what makes you think I'm acting?
And with that final stage of the act, we leave the heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali, or Cassius Clay, as you will.
Many observers had thought Ali's victory in the first Liston bout was a fluke. The ex-champ was a 9-5 favorite going into the rematch. But the 6-month postponement had hurt Liston, who was now out of shape and many thought unfocused. The fight ended quickly when a near-perfect punch that many never saw and some swore never landed knocked Liston down in the first round. 4 days later on Wide World of Sports, Howard Cosell took a closer look at what became known as the Phantom Punch.
Did you see the punch? Did you see it? By the ABC clock, 1 minute 53 seconds was 10 seconds after Liston hit the canvas. Walcott never heard the official knockdown timekeeper. Liston never heard a count. Walcott leaves the fighters. Liston still has reflexes. Look at him duck. Now Walcott has gotten information that Liston was down for a count of 10 and more. And so the fight is over, and Muhammad Ali is still the champion in a scene of bedlam, chaos, and confusion.
Ladies and gentlemen, the timekeeper counted out Liston in 1 minute of the first round, the winner by a knockout, and still the heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali.
Isn't that incredible that they should call it 1 minute? Off come the champion's bandages now. And the champion tells the press exactly how he feels about at least some of them.
Did not tell the world that I had a surprise, and that if I told you the surprise, you would not come to the fight. With me was Almighty Allah and his messenger, and I've been saying my prayers regular, living a righteous life,
Right.
And as you see what happened.
Now, once again, here is the knockout in slow motion. Trust that time you saw the blow cleanly. Observe closely the extraordinary sequence of events that follows. First, the refusal of the champion to go to a neutral corner. Now he apparently departs. Second, the attempt of Liston to arise. Apparently, he is unable to do so. Third, note the champion prancing about the ring. He has still not gone to a neutral corner. Fourth, the fight actually resumes. Fifth, as it does, the referee departs to answer a call from the official knockdown timekeeper's corner. Sixth, Liston still has reflexes. Note the way he ducks the clay barrage. And seventh, Jersey Joe Walcott returns. He has been advised that Liston has been down for 10 seconds and more and declares Muhammad Ali the winner.
He got hit hard. I hit him with a punch that Jack Johnson used called the anchor punch. Stephen Fetcher, the old great Hollywood movie star, as I told you, he's working with me, and we were in secret training on something called the anchor punch. And this is a punch that Jack Johnson took to the graveyard with him. Nobody knew it but Stephen Fetcher, and it's a twist-like chopped right hand that is hard to see. And I told a few of you fellas when you were at Chicopee, Massachusetts at my training camp, if you can remember clearly, I was demonstrating the right. Do you remember?
Why don't you show us how it went, Chad?
Do you? Yeah.
How does it go?
It's a snap punch, and you can't punch it until the man is coming in at you. That's like a head-on collision. One car doing 50, hitting the back of another car going 50, doing the same way, it's not much shock. But you turn the car around and bring them together head-on, it's a shock. So the man, I had to time the man with my rhythm and bouncing where he was coming at me and where I was meeting him, and just, that's all. Goodbye, a twist. And you can't see it, but if you were hit with it, all of you would be out.
That's the way it was that May 25th, 1965 in Lewiston, Maine, in a high school hockey rink where they had a heavyweight championship fight. The big questions remain unanswered. Yes, there was a punch, but was it of sufficient force to knock out a man who had never been floored before? What about the referee, Jersey Joe Walcott, and his total confusion? Incidentally, Jersey Joe was invited to appear on the show, but was unavailable. Had he counted, could Liston have been up in time? Did Liston really, for that matter, get a fair share? And what about all of the other bizarre circumstances attending upon the fight? The way it got, for instance, to Liston. Well, some say this was the end of boxing. Congress may bring in a federal boxing commission. Some states want to wipe out boxing. But this may, in fact, have been a new beginning, because Floyd Patterson now in Sweden says he's been promised a fight in the fall. And right now, there's a man in the ring, George Chuvalo, and there he is, who wants to fight the heavyweight champion. He's ready at that moment. He may get the next shot. Indeed, this may be a new beginning.
In November of 1965, Ali was ready to take on his next opponent, the 30-year-old former heavyweight champ, Floyd Patterson. The pre-fight hype began innocently enough. Ali goaded Patterson, calling him a rabbit, alluding to his timid demeanor, and fueled the hostility by delivering lettuce and carrots to Patterson's fight camp. Meanwhile, Patterson countered by refusing to call the champ Muhammad Ali, insisting upon Cassius Clay. The match was scheduled for November 22, 1965, and Cosell visited Ali 2 days before the fight at his training site in Las Vegas.
This is the hotel where Muhammad Ali, or Cassius Clay as you will, the heavyweight champion of the world, is in training for the defense of his crown. We're just about ready for the champ to start sparring with Cody Jones. But before we do, let's talk for a couple of seconds with the famed Angelo Dundee, the champ's manager and trainer. Angie, I trust you'll be good enough as we show the champ in action to voice over analyze what he's doing.
Well, it's always a pleasure to come to this time of the training program. We're riding the home stretch, and I'm happy to say he's there. He's ready to go.
Well, here we go. It's the champ in the white trunks against Cody Jones, and Angie Dundee, suppose you take over.
Well, I've got Cody slipping and moving forward, which I feel may be the style patterned by Patterson. As you see, he's moving and he's dancing, and he's in and out. The left hand is a big item. I think he has one of the best left hands in the business. It's a quick left hand. He's in and out on you.
What's astonishing is the way he's grown in the shoulders and arms.
Well, yeah, he's maturing. Like I said, he's only 23. And full growth of a heavyweight doesn't come till about 26. And he'll be fully matured at 26. There was a left hook right there. He missed it. Cody tried the leaping left hook and didn't land. Thank heaven.
People still ask, why does the champion keep his hands down as he fights, as he did against Liston? Why?
This is him. I mean, nobody's going to tell him how to fight. I mean, you can't knock success. He's been successful with it. How can you knock it? I'm not going to change it. I like it.
Well, the champ's finished sparring, as you saw, against Cody Jones, and he's cooling off just a little bit, but with luck, we'll be able to get him over here. Champ?
Yeah. Well, if it's not the wonderful, marvelous, gifted one, Howard Cosell, how you doing?
You're very kind, Muhammad.
A gifted one himself.
It's interesting to watch you work out, my boy. I hope that you're ready to hit Patterson with a punch that everybody in the house can see.
Well, I hope that they will see this punch. This punch will not have the swiftness and the impossible seeing view like the other one did.
Mm-hmm. How long will it go, this fight?
I don't really know, Howard. I might get angry and get him in 30 seconds. I might let it go 6 or 7, give him a good punishment. I don't know what we might do.
You told me you were changing your image. Now you're getting boastful again.
Well, I'm not boastful. I'm just telling you what's I believe a boastful mean a person who thinks they can do something when they can't. See, I know I can do it, and I have done it.
You think this boy will be a better opponent than Liston?
I think he'll be a better opponent than Liston because I don't think he'll be crazy enough to come in after me like Liston did. And his style was successful with Chevallo, backing up, moving and running. I understand he watched the films between me and Liston, and he's trying to take that footwork of mine, so he might run for 2 or 3 rounds.
And you think by the 3rd round he'll knock you out?
No, it's impossible. Howard, if Floyd Patterson dreamed he knocked me out, he'd apologize.
All right. You must be aware of the fact that Patterson has become a kind of sentimental hero in this country because of
I want him to be the hero. I want everybody to cheer him, and I want them all to boo me. This gives me more strength, and it makes me fight harder, and the win feels much bigger when I feel that I have defeated everyone betting on him, too. So, I always love to be the underdog, the bad man. So he's the good American boy, and I'm the bad boy.
I don't believe you really mean that. I can't believe it. Although, remember once privately you confided that Patterson has become, in effect, the white hope of this country. Do you still believe that?
That's right. That's what he is. He's the Technicolor white hope.
All right. You're the fight announcer. Describe for us, right here and now, for our viewers, the way this fight is going to take place, and look right into that camera as you do it.
Well, I don't think that I have a poem concerning what's going to happen, but I would hate to reveal it because everything I say comes so true and it's so accurate until I'm afraid it would affect the gate if I actually tell these people what's going to happen. And I'm out for money, and we have a few $1 million predicted to come in the ticket box, and I'm afraid we have people in London and Turkey and all of these countries and Sweden who will be getting up at 3 and 4 in the morning, and I would hate for them to get up at 3 and 4 in the morning and to hear me, in other words, tell them what's going to happen, and then they won't get up.
I understand your reluctance, but you've created a picture of yourself throughout the entire world that demands that you tell the viewers on Wide World of Sports exactly how this fight is going to be fought. You know the poem, I know it, recite it.
Once Muhammad Ali began to emerge as a real presence in the heavyweight boxing scene, Cosell knew that they had a terrific chemistry. He wasn't sure where it came from, but he knew that Ali, even though he was uneducated, had a wit and a charm and a color and an energy about him that Cosell could feed from. And together they really were a duo, a combination that television and sports hadn't seen before.
But this is for the people who won't be able to see the TVs. This is the people who will listen to the radio. And this is how a certain round of the fight will sound over radio.
Go ahead.
Ali comes out to meet Floyd, and Floyd starts to retreat. If Floyd goes back an inch farther, he'll wind up in a ringside seat. Floyd swings with the left, Floyd swings with the right. Look at the kid carry the fight. Floyd keeps backing, but there's not enough room. It's a matter of time. There Ali lowers the boom. Now Ali lands with the right. What a beautiful swing. And the punch lifts Floyd clean out of the ring. Floyd.
Go on.
The people there. Floyd is still rising, and the ref wears a frown, for he can't start counting till Floyd comes down. Now Floyd disappears from view. The crowd is getting frantic, but our radar stations have picked him up. He's somewhere over the Atlantic. Who would have thought when they came to the fight that they would witness the launching of a human satellite? Yes, the crowd did not dream when they laid down their money that Ali would retire Floyd and Sonny.
You may not have heard...
Man, what you think about that?
I think you're extraordinarily brilliant.
What you think about that?
I want to tell our viewers, Muhammad, that you shall never qualify as either John Keats or Percy Bysshe Shelley, but I look for a good fight.
Floyd Patterson's talking about what kind of champion he'll make. I understand he won't even talk to the press writers. He's somewhere hiding. He won't let you see him train every day like I do. The people saw more today for $1 than they did when I fought Liston for millions. For $1, huh?
Good luck to you.
This man talking about, man?
The story from the training camp of the one and only Muhammad Ali.
Fellow sports fans, this is Muhammad Ali, World Heavyweight Champion. I invite you to be with Howard Cosell and I here today on ABC's Wide World of Sports. We will be giving you a blow-by-blow description of my last title defense with Floyd Patterson. So set close to your TV sets, close and tight, because this fight tonight is out of sight.
The pre-fight hostility between Muhammad Ali and Floyd Patterson was growing. Patterson announced he wanted to reclaim the title for America, attacking Ali's patriotism and his conversion to the Nation of Islam. Ali responded by calling Patterson an Uncle Tom and announced his plan to punish Floyd, to cause him pain in the ring. The boxing press was rough on Ali after he beat up on Patterson. Many writers thought Ali was unfairly torturing Patterson by not knocking him out. 2 months after the fight, Cosell brought Ali to the ABC studio to look back at the champ's victory. This was the first of many visits that would underscore an unprecedented relationship between boxer and broadcaster.
With me now in the studio is Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight champion of the world, who, as you know, quite recently was named Fighter of the Year for 1965, and who shortly will be embarking upon another defense of his crown.
I remember one time there was a huge controversy because Howard was the first person, I think, to publicly call him Muhammad Ali instead of Cassius Clay. And people attacked me, and I get all this mail and everything. And I finally said, look, somebody with the name Roon has no right to tell anybody what they can be called. If he wants to be called Muhammad Ali, that's what we're going to call him.
Muhammad, I can't think of a more appropriate time than now for you and me to take a look at your recent fight against Floyd Patterson in Las Vegas, Nevada, November 22, 1965. And you experted, will you, voiceover?
Right, I think that'll be nice, Howard.
Let's swing around and take a gander at the action.
My intentions this first round was to mostly move and warm up because I did get to the dressing room a little late. I usually have 15 or 20 minutes to bounce around before the fight. So I figured I would do it in the first round. But now you see me using what I call my yardstick. This is just measuring him off, keeping him in range.
Measuring him off for what, the future?
Well, I'm not here today to really criticize him. He was a good fighter. He did his best. All the publicity and the promotion's over. As you see, he's weaving and bobbing. He's got good head movement.
What are you doing there at the end of round one?
Well, stretching out, you know. Most people say he's bragging or he's saying I'm the greatest, but I was only stretching out.
Did you know at the end of this round you could knock him out?
Well, I couldn't be that sure, but I imagine if I got in the ring warm and went right at him like Liston, I believe I could have.
I think we should perhaps now view the fourth round, because in that fourth round, the referee took exception to the way you were talking to Floyd, if you'll remember. So let's view the action in the fourth, and you continue to talk over. I see you're immediately talking to him.
Yes, I was, Howard, and exactly every word I cannot remember. But I did tell him to come on and let's fight. You're letting all of your fans down. But he really took all of my best punches, Howard. He's really a good fighter.
At the same time, I think even at this point, the way you keep talking to the boy, your contempt for him as a fighter is almost too open. Why behave that way, Muhammad?
He was doing a lot of talking before the fight, and it was his intention to make me look foolish. So it's just first law of nature, self-preservation. So it was just my night, and I showed him.
Now, you're going to sit here and tell me that almost any time now, if you had wanted to, you couldn't put him out?
Well, I won't say I'm trying. The talk that I have done, Howard, most of the people are beginning to believe I'm not human, but I am human, and I'm a little tired myself. A few times I went at him to knock him out, but he didn't fall, so I had to back up because I didn't want to tire myself out. 15 rounds is a lot of fighting.
Well, there's your motion of open contempt. That's the end of round 4. Muhammad, I want you to take a good look at this round 6 as we begin to play it, and I want you to tell us why you didn't knock Patterson out then, even as you described the action, Muhammad. We're coming up now to round 6. Take over.
I just missed the left jab. I just hit him with 2 uppercuts, 1, 2. Well, it's really too fast for me to talk and follow. Just hit him with a jab, another 1, 2. That was a hook, a jab, a right cross, a 1, 2, another jab, a right uppercut, a right cross, jab. There's another 1, 2. I was too fast. I can't keep up with it. It's really hard to describe a blow-by-blow description of my fights. I imagine the man on the radio is really just guessing when he sees certain punches, because it's really too hard you can't talk this fast. Now I'm still jabbing him, and right hands hitting him with everything in the book, but he just wouldn't fall. And any man, average man on the end of these would be gone. And he's still fighting, as you can see. He's still game.
That was the end of round 6.
And if you tell the truth now, the fight should have been stopped right now. It should have been stopped now, not in the 12th. He shouldn't have been allowed to go 6 more rounds. And his courage kept him fighting, how we should have quit right there, but he just had so much false pride. He just feels that he owes everybody everything. Nobody owes him nothing. He owes everybody. So he felt that it was his obligation to go out and take it if necessary.
Round 7, Muhammad, and I want to see what you do here all over again. I want to know why you weren't more aggressive when you had the boys so bombed out.
Well, Howie, when a man is whipped and in the physical shape that he's in now, when he's in a position to just go right in and hurt if he can, I think it's not worth the money. He's got a family, he's got beautiful children, girls and boys, and he'll have to live, and I wouldn't want to really hurt nobody just to please those people out there in the audience, just for their, I would say, just for their pleasure, just hurt another man, just outright.
Well, aren't you telling me in a kind of way that you carried the boy at this point?
Well, yes, I'll say yes, boldly to you here on the nationwide TV, that I boxed him. As you see, I'm hitting him with everything in the book, but I just didn't throw it too hard, because you would probably be one of the main ones to be on me if the man was hurt seriously. Well, boxing is brutal. It needs to be stopped. These fellows are dying. should make some type move to stop it. Now here I'm showing you a good boxing match, good art, just whooping the man, and now you want to condemn him for not cruelly killing him. So, in other words, I'm wrong if I do and I'm wrong if I don't.
All right.
You have to admit I'm right, Howard?
You've answered the question, I'll admit
Patterson's a nice fellow. He's a nice, humble, good, clean living boy. He means right.
But as the fans view this fight and hear you talk, they see that you're not really throwing.
They see me beating him nice and clean, jabbing him, using nothing but boxing art, using my creative and scientific ability, and just getting away and beating him just enough to go, not really hurting him, which you see I could, and I think I should be rewarded for that. I think every fighter should take it easy on a man if he sees that you have a chance to seriously kill him or hurt him. But they don't praise me for this. They look and call me. They still say I should have knocked him out and I carried him as a fix. And then if I went on and seriously hurt the man, then you want to stop me because I'm brutal, I'm a killer. So I'd rather for you to talk about me carrying him instead of hearing you talk about me killing somebody. Because I'm wrong anyway, so I just might as well come out the easiest way I can.
Muhammad, I would like to point up the courage again Patterson just
Yes,
showed
he's got a
coming
lot
up.
of courage. He's got a lot of courage. He's taken all the punches, and I had to praise him after it because I know me. I know how hard I was hitting him. I know how regular I was hitting him. You've never seen no heavyweight fight in history where two fellows moved and punched like this. You've never seen it. And he took all of it.
Muhammad, the 8th, 9th, and 10th rounds were not markedly dissimilar from the 7th round, except for this extraordinary sight of what kept happening between rounds in Floyd Patterson's corner. Now, this is where we saw the vivid manifestation of the back injury. So let's take a look at that on film. We've created a montage of Patterson's treatment between those respective rounds. I just couldn't understand at first. This, of course, is Buster Watson lifting him up.
When I first saw them doing that to him, I figured he had some type of muscle trouble or back trouble, or pulled the muscle or something. Then I figured it might be an excuse. When he saw that he had no other way out, he would start promoting this excuse. But then I believe it was serious. I could tell by his actions and his fighting.
Now we're up, by the way, Muhammad, between the 8th and 9th. The previous two lift-ups were between the 7th and the 8th. Extraordinary. Why would the Nevada Commission and the medical examiner at ringside permit the fight to continue in the face of this?
Well, as I said earlier in our interview, Howard, that I think that they should have stopped it. But I just imagine they wanted me beat so bad, anybody who had the nerve to try, or anyone who they figured had a chance to get a lucky punch, they would encourage him to keep going.
What I think we should do is pick up the action here with about a minute to go in round 11.
He's still weaving and bobbing with his back trouble, and he's still coming in.
Yeah, but he can't straighten up.
See, so he straightened up good enough to get away from one and then throw one. He's still blocking a few of them. He's still weaving and bobbing. He's still getting in with the jab just as fast as just Dr. Goodwin.
You may be right in what you said earlier. Looking at the boy's condition, it may be you could have done untold damage to him. In any event, that's the end of round 11.
It seems like to me now, I'm just now noticing this. During the fight, he was moving pretty good, but immediately after the bell rang, then his arms immediately went behind him and he went into his crouch. But as long as the fight was going on, he wasn't looking that bad. And if he was in so much pain, plus taking the beating, I think the referee should have stopped it. But there's so much at stake in a title fight, and I imagine he didn't want to take any chance on Floyd complaining.
I get the feeling that you had about enough here, that you were determined that it would end in this round. Is that true?
Well, yes, I did press in this round. I said I'm going to go in and win this one big, but I hit him pretty regular at the end of this round, as you will see later.
What are you saying to him?
Well, the people would holler and cheer whenever he would miss, and I would just have to shake my head. But they're not hollering now, but they were hollering when he almost hit me, so I had to tell him, no, he wasn't hitting me.
Watching the boy take it all over again, I have to say that he was indomitable, and the fight over, we didn't quite leave Las Vegas the way we left Lewiston. You would agree with that, wouldn't you, Muhammad?
Well, that's right.
Patterson did bring some dignity to the ring with his courage.
Yes, sir. I gave, as you can see now, I'm giving him credit for the fight that he did put up, and he did put up and took a lot.
Well, the time has come to talk to you, Muhammad, about boxing, about what's going to happen to it, about where it's going. For a lot of years, people have said boxing is dead. If not dead, then assuredly dying. I've heard you say you've saved it. Now, have you? And if so, how?
Well, as far as my division is concerned, Howard, for the amount of work one man can do, I've saved, I would say, I've done a lot for the heavyweight division, which rules the fight game. And things like talking, my predictions, the interest that I have built up, the drama in fights. And now I'm scheduled to fight 4 times this year, just in '66. Not 1 time a year like most fighters, but I'm fighting every 4 months from here on out.
On the other side of the coin, you say you've provided this lively image for the heavyweight division. No secret about this. A lot of people feel that you've provided a very bad image for boxing because of your religion, very honestly. It's a minority group that you belong to, and a lot of people object to it.
That couldn't be a bad image because most fighters in the past and olden, the Jack Johnson, the Jack Dempsey days, you see the fighters, they come in on the bar with 2 blondes in each arm, pretty girl here, run the drinks around the bar. They're having a good time. Many of your few of your heavyweight champions even were known for training on drinking beer. Many of them have been in all type scandals, moral and all type, and I'm not a person who's involved in none of these. I'm a strictly religion person who professed the religion of Islam, which is believed in by a good 400 million people or more. And I don't see why this would make me bad. I'm not in the racial disturbance you have today, such as forcing myself on people, leading marches, and I don't see where I'm such a bad champion.
Well, you don't see where some people could accuse the Muslim groups of being hate groups or terrorist groups.
No, sir.
You've never seen any evidence of this?
Well, you haven't either. You can't find nowhere in history or the present where you can be justified in saying that the followers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is a hate group. We are the victims of hate. Just the black people in America in general are victims of hate. We cannot be taught to hate as they say he do. I think if a person can be here for 400 years suffering what the American so-called Negro have suffered, the murders that was just committed in the South, and 30 or 40 of our people who were shot down in the street of Los Angeles by Army equipment and war equipment, I don't think you can call us haters because we want to separate from these people who are continuing doing this. This is just good, and a man's a fool if he don't want to, but we're not haters.
You understand
we're
that this
victims
is your
of hate.
opinion.
This is the truth, what I'm saying here on this nationwide TV show. This is the truth as the world see it.
I understand that.
Newspapers admit it, and you see it when you watch the TV.
Now, let me get to a final question. Back on boxing. I brought up the religion because it is a part of your boxing
Anything
image.
you bring up, I'm willing to talk about.
What solidified the relationship between Ali and Cosell, I think, was the fact that Ali understood that this very strange guy asking these very eloquent, wordy, sometimes ponderous questions was providing him with a unique stage. And of course, what made it work for Cosell was when he realized Ali could hold his own with Howard's massive ego and intelligence.
All right. When they write the history of the heavyweight division, the final history of it in boxing, what will your place be as you see it?
Well, I might go down in history as being the highest publicized fight in the history of the fight game. The most talked about, The most, I would say, probably controversial, the most loved, the most hated, the most misunderstood, the most...
Will they rate you with Dempsey, with Tunney, with Lewis?
Oh, I've surpassed them already.
You think they'll rate you higher than those great champions
already
in the history of
I
boxing?
think that I've broke all of their records. There's never been a man in the heavyweight history of the fight game to predict, I mean, what would happen 15 times in a row and do it.
We are both looking at Ernie Terrell. And as I swing around to look at him too, Muhammad, I think you'll agree that this is the man who should be your next opponent.
Well, yes, he's number one, and he will be my next opponent, Howie. And one thing I hate to face is the outcome of the fight, either way it go. If Ernie Terrell runs into this solid right hand of mine, he's going to be out in 1 minute like Liston. And if so, the people are going to say that boxing is not worth coming to. It's not worth seeing. I've come from all parts of the world. We come from this city, and the fight is a fix. It was a fix. So I have criticism if that happens. If I get Terrell in a condition where I could kill him, but I won't get credit for being human. I won't get credit for being, I won't get the justice and the honor of being merciful. They would say that I carried him. Then if I just go all out and possibly kill the man or hurt him internally for life, then I'm a murderer. Then if Terrell is lucky enough to get by for 11 or 12 rounds, then I carried him. So I don't know what to do, and I would like for all of the people out there in the TV audience to write Wide World of Sports and tell me what should I do if any of these things take place.
All right. Under any circumstances, Terrell's the man you'd like to fight, and if certain outside entanglements don't prevent the bout, you'll be fighting him. And whoever comes up, documentarily, you've got to beat him because documentarily, in your opinion, you're the greatest. Is that true?
Howard, you're the greatest also.
You're very kind. And I guess we get arguments from a lot of people on both statements.
That's right.
Thank you very much for being with us. Muhammad Ali and the story of the Clay Patterson fight, or Muhammad Ali as he prefers to be called.
Ernie Terrell would have to wait. In February of 1966, Ali made his famous, "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong" remark, and no one in the States, including promoters, wanted anything to do with the champ. This sentiment would soon force Ali to earn his living in boxing rings outside the U.S. In the mid-'60s, Wide World of Sports had the pleasure of pairing Howard Cosell, the loud and brash sportscaster, with a loud and brash heavyweight champion, Muhammad Ali. And together, Cosell and Ali would weather storms of controversy. After Ali was declared eligible for the draft on February 17, 1966, the sporting press descended upon the 24-year-old champ, wanting to know his position on the war in Vietnam. Ali, frustrated with question upon question, finally replied, "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong." And with that, the press and the public turned against him. His next fight was scheduled for late March in Chicago against Ernie Terrell, but the furor over Ali's remarks caused the bout to be canceled. Soon, no U.S. city wanted the fight, and in the midst of all the controversy, Terrell backed out. So Ali traveled to Toronto to defend his title against Canadian heavyweight champion George Chuvalo. 4 days after the bout, Ali sat down with Howard Cosell to review the fight against the unorthodox Chuvalo and discuss the latest drama surrounding the heavyweight champ. It was the second of what would be many visits by Ali to the ABC studios.
As you viewers know, there is absolutely no secret about the fact that Muhammad Ali, or Cassius Clay, as you will, has become one of the most controversial personalities in this entire country. It remains, however, co-equally a fact that the heavyweight champion of the world is an integral part of the whole wide world of sport. And he proved it all over again this past Tuesday night in Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens when he successfully defended his heavyweight crown against George Chuvalo. And so, Muhammad, we welcome you back to Wide World of Sport.
Thank you, Howard. I'm very glad to be here.
And what we're going to do is, as we did after the Patterson bout, we're going to analyze out together, but you in the main,
the bout against Chavallo. So I'd like you to swing around, and I shall do likewise as we just observe how this bout was covered. For instance, the greatest sports journalists in the world, Arthur Daly, syndicated columnist of the New York Times. There's Jimmy Breslin of the Herald Tribune. Jesse Abramson, also of the Tribune. And finally, Walter Red Smith, the great syndicated columnist. This is an amazing thing we're about to see, Muhammad. The staring battle that'll be coming up. Tell us why you did it and what you were really doing.
Well, I just like to look my opponent in the eye and concentrate on winning the fight. And it's just a thing that I do.
You actually think you can scare a man?
Not really, but I can look right through him and just about figure out what he's going to do, and I could see that this was going to be a tough fight, and it later proved to be. As soon as the fight started, I knew that the fella's tough because Floyd Patterson couldn't knock him out, and Eddie Terrell hit and ran for about 15 rounds. He couldn't knock him out, and he's never been down, so I knew he was tough.
By this point in the fight, did you feel that your control of him was sure?
Well, yes, in a way. But you never can tell what can happen in a heavyweight fight. He could butt me, or he could hit me low, or I could get cut. Anything could happen.
You seem to have been occupying your mind with his unorthodox tactics.
That's right. Well, he's throwing a lot of body punches, but most of them hitting the side of my arms. And a few low blows, too. But I had a good piece of protection on, and that's the only thing that really saved me.
Now here's where you begin to tag him with flurry upon flurry. Remember this?
Right. But he's still standing. He wouldn't go. I had to give it to him. Me, myself, Howie, I don't believe I could take the punishment. If a man beat me like that, I believe I would just have to quit. But he could take it.
That was the end of round 3, and you threw that disdainful motion.
Well, I was a little angry at all of those low blows he was throwing, and no one saying nothing, and it is illegal, and the referee and all the crowd of 14,000, no one booing him for it.
Let's take a look at some of the slow motion, stop, freeze, and straight fluid action in a montage of low blows. This is the second round.
Man, he's hit me behind.
Did you feel that one?
Well, I felt all of them, really, but nothing was serious enough to stop.
We're in the third round. Some ringsiders felt that as many as 11 to 14 low blows were landed in this round consecutively.
He just threw 2 low ones, but they were to the side, but they were low. Side of my leg. He figured he could do more damage, I imagine, by punching low, so that's what he did.
Moving up later in the fight, this is round 7. And there's the stop action.
Yes, that was a low blow.
Did you hear referee Silvers at any time warn Chavallo?
No, I can't remember hearing him.
And you, I repeat, made no complaints at any time?
At one time, at the beginning of the fight, I let him know that he was hitting me low, but it didn't do no good. But the referee should have said something. It is a foul in boxing. It's a dangerous part to hit a man. And I just figured that they would do something about it soon, but he never did.
Round 11 coming up, Muhammad. Now you're getting close to the longest you've ever gone in a bout before this one, which was 12.
Right, 12 was the limit, but 15, this was a new experience.
How tired were you here?
Well, how I would say the 9th round, I felt real tired, but after the 9th round, I got what we call a second win in sports, and the 14th and 15th, I was tired, but I found extra strength to pull me through because so much was riding on me winning, and once you lose, that's it.
Now the viewers are going to get a chance to see just how mashed up Chavallo's face has become. His eyes are now mere slits, which I'm sure you're well aware of. Well, that's the end of round 11, which was clearly dominated by you. And again, people are saying the man can't punch. How could you knock out Liston in one round and not knock this man
I would
out?
call it Liston helped me because he ran right into the punch. Boxing is funny. Floyd Patterson beat Chevalo, and then I played with Floyd, and this is why people figured I would just have it easy with Chevalo, but you see I didn't. And boxing is like that.
But you think you can punch?
Well, if I have to. I really didn't have the proper time to beat the heavy bags like I wanted to.
You had never gone more than 12, as we've noted before. Did you think about this in the corner before the 13th, 14th?
Well, yes, I was conscious of it. Many people were saying that if the fight went 12, Chevalo would just about kill me in the last 3 because I've never gone that far, and that at the time I fought Patterson in the 12th round, I was dead tired. And then they said when I fought Patterson, if it goes over 7, he would beat me because at 7 with Liston, I wanted to quit. I think this only proves that beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm able to go a full 15 rounds. And if a champion can't go 15, then he's not really a champion.
Mm-hmm. And here we go, champ, with round 15. Referee still standing.
Yes, you know, he's shaking his legs. He's kind of old there, you know. He's getting to work out himself.
All right, you're thinking as you began this final round.
Yeah, I just hit him with the right cross and a left hook. Another left jab, and he just missed the hook. He missed another hook.
You're trying to show that you're not tired.
Well, you have to look impressive because the judge are watching. And I was a little tired. I was really tired, but professionals have a way of making it look like they're not. And you see him hitting me low but behind. And the next time I fight George, if we do have a rematch, I'm going to have a protection cup made twice this thick.
He's going to need protection for his right eye. Look at the way it's bleeding
Well,
there.
it's just natural, but it's nothing really serious. Right now, I was saying to myself, this is the toughest man in the world.
It's amazing the way he keeps coming in at you with that face as pulpy as it is.
There's some lady I understand saw George come out of the ring. He had a few bruises. She said, my gosh, that Chevalo is tough. And her husband said, no, that Muhammad Ali is the tough one.
Yeah. Well, it's over now. I want to get to the question of the low blows again with the referee in the ring immediately after the bout. You haven't seen this interview.
Did you talk to the referee?
Yes, sir. We're going to see it right
I'm anxious to see what he had to say.
We'll see it in just a minute.
All right, it's just been announced, a unanimous decision for Muhammad Ali. He retains his heavyweight championship of the world. This is referee Jackie Silvers. Jackie, how many times during the fight did you warn George Chevalo for hitting low blows?
Well, knowing the kind of a fighter that George is, and knowing that's the only way that you're going to have something for your money, if it doesn't hurt the guy, I ignore it, see? If it's a kind of a punch, a going-away punch, but it hits the guy low, it doesn't mean a thing, you know what I mean? But when he did, I'd say I must have warned him three times anyway, maybe possibly 4.
But you are implicitly saying that many low blows were struck that you ignored.
That's right. That's true. Well, I mean, they were thrown, and of course, as Muhammad was moving away, they landed low, which actually is not a low blow in the true sense of the word. I mean, I'm talking about a punch that is sent deliberately to hit low, three times. But there was a lot of punches that Muhammad was moving, and he was thrown to the belly, and it landed a little bit low, which is actually very, very unimportant if you want to see something for your money.
You didn't feel that Chevalo's whole tactic was to strike low blows with continuity?
No, definitely not.
Well, now you know what the referee was thinking about, Muhammad.
That's right. Now, I noticed you defend me pretty well. I'm going to thank you for it.
No, that was a reporter asking the questions that we felt had to be asked at the time. Now I've got to ask you questions. I've got to ask you, first of all, about your personality. You seem strangely subdued. You trying to create a whole new image?
I mean, what do you mean by subdued?
Quiet.
Well,
not outspoken, not making a lot of noise.
I've said many of times and in the past that I'm just not campaigning like I used to, saying I am the greatest, I'm this, I'm that, he's going to fall in this round, that round. The atmosphere is not right for it. I'm the champion now, and there's no need for it. I've said that many of times.
Do you really want to fight Cooper next?
Well, probably Henry Cooper or Brian London or Terrell if he can get out of the little trouble he's in.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever offers us the most money, that's the main thing, the money.
You don't seriously regard Cooper or London as worthy opponents.
Well, I believe they are. I told the people that George Chuvalo would probably go 15 rounds. He would give me a tougher fight than Liston, Patterson, and Terrell, I believe. And as you see, he did. And I couldn't knock him out.
No question, when we had Muhammad and Howard together in the studio following an Ali fight, that there was magic. There was a feeling in the studio when Muhammad arrived that's hard to describe. You just you knew that a superstar was there, and you knew that Howard was going to probe him and be very direct with his questioning, and you knew that something that you didn't expect might well happen, but you knew it was going to be good television, and it always was.
Will you be going into the Army?
Well, I'm not saying. I don't know yet what's going to happen. It's all in the hands of my lawyers, and they are working with it.
If the military insists that you go, will you go?
Well, I'm not saying nothing here about nothing like that. I'll talk to the Army people, and you're a sportsman, and we're here talking about sports, and I don't have to answer to nobody on nothing else but the draft people themselves.
I think you have to answer to the American people in this vein. Are you sorry for any of the things you have said? Do you have any apologies to make?
Only to the people who were hurt financially, not me, in what I've said, and the people that who wanted to promote the fights, who had things that they wanted to do, who didn't get to do them. But me, myself, I feel the same that I've always felt about anything. Mm-hmm. And I'd be less than a man to sit here on your TV show and deny it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going to thank you for coming by. I'd like the viewers to see this hand just before we say goodbye. This is a swollen, badly bruised, maybe even broken knuckle from the fight.
No, it's not broke, Howie. I know it's not broke, but
they're going to put a brace on it.
It's just a little bruise. It happens after all of my fights. That's all. The more famous you get, the more emphasis they put on it. That's all it is to it.
Take care of yourself.
You're welcome. Same to you.
Still ostracized in the U.S., the controversial Ali headed overseas to find opponents. Between May and September of 1966, he defended his title 3 times, all in Europe. The first was a rematch with Henry Cooper, a huge event considering the British heavyweight was fighting for the title on home soil. Cooper made headlines when he scored a knockdown in the 4th round against Ali in their first fight back in 1963. Ali won that fight with a TKO in the 5th. Some thought Cooper, with his strong left hook, had a legitimate chance against the champ, and there was some doubt about Ali's punching power and killer instinct. Cosell was on hand in London with the pre-fight coverage for Wide World of Sports in May of 1966.
In Hyde Park, London, every morning at 6:15 a.m., the champion ran. Training is an old story to him. This day he was concentrating not on training, but on a press conference that he was holding in a restaurant just off Piccadilly Circus, at which press conference he thanked everybody in the world, including the President of the United States, and then in a somber mood talked with this reporter.
The heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali.
Cosell's willingness and even his eagerness to call Ali Muhammad Ali instead of Cassius Clay, as so many others in the sports journalism business insisted on doing, really won Ali's respect and maybe won some of his heart, because it definitely wasn't the popular thing to do.
Muhammad Henry Cooper has told us he's quite aware of the way you fight, circling steadily to the left. He says he may surprise you with a right. What do you say?
Well, I understand that he is developing a good right hand. And I do know he's got a good left hook. I know it better than anyone else because he tagged me with it. And I would say that was about the hardest time that I've been hit my whole life. But I'm not doing a lot of talking no more. I'm champion now, so I'm acting as a champion, and I'm not campaigning like I usually do. I don't have to. But all I can say, as far as his right hand or his left hook is concerned, talking won't help. The bell will soon be ringing, and the world will be watching, and we'll see what happens.
There are some who say that this is a new pose adopted by you and a different way of building up the fight, that you don't really think Cooper's a worthy challenger.
Well, same as they said for Floyd Patterson. I would annihilate him easier than Liston. They were wrong. It went 12 rounds. Same they said for George Chuvalo. This would be, I was just building the fight up by saying it may go 15. Chuvalo's never been down, and the fight did go 15, and those of you who were there saw that I was hitting him with everything until I just about broke my hands doing it. But I pay no attention to what they say. I know Henry Cooper has been in the ring a long time. He's determined, he's hungry, he's desperate. This is the fight of his life. This is a dream of any fighter or any boy, is to be the heavyweight champion of the world or the president of his country or something. So this is a big honor for him, and he's going to be ready. So that's all I'm looking at.
Well, you mentioned Chuvalo and Patterson, and there are those who say those two fights proved you can't punch. You are determined to prove this time that you can punch by doing away with Cooper.
No, I'm not saying that. You mentioning that. But if he falls, he falls. At the time I fought Sonny Liston the first time, he didn't really go down. Patterson didn't. Cooper didn't the first time I fought him. Doug Jones didn't go down.
Are you admitting you can't punch?
Well, I punch enough to always come out of the ring victorious and never scratch on my face. I punch just good enough to do that and stay the champion of the whole world and the fastest in all history.
You're going to fight the same way you fought your prior bouts, as we noted a few moments ago, circling steadily and quickly to the left to avoid the left hook.
Yes, that's my style, and it will be my style until someone can prove that it's not good for me.
And you will probably put him away in the 5th or 6th round.
No, you can put him away in the 5th or 6th?
You are.
No, I don't. No, I'm not predicting. I'm not predicting. You can't tell what might happen. You might go in one. We never know what's going to happen.
You'll just look for the opportunity.
I just do my best to stick and move, put on a good, clean show, and this will be I understand, the widest watched fight in the history of all fighting. And so I'll just be doing my best, that's all.
Should you lose, will you quit?
I believe I'll have to retire if I lose. I would retire.
Just one defeat would be enough.
Well, whoever it is, I'll retire.
Good luck to you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Our conversation concluded, the press conference over. Muhammad the Meek, because that's his new pose, began to walk the streets of London. This reporter directly behind him. Muhammad Ali, as Cassius Clay calls himself, likes to do this. He likes the adulation that he's getting in London town. The people in London don't view him the way so many in America do. However, he is a fighter first of all and last of all. And until beaten, he is the champion.
Arsenal Stadium in London was the site for what was then the biggest boxing event ever staged in England. It was also the first live bout to be beamed by satellite from Europe back to the U.S. So, just 2.5 months after beating Cooper, a weary Ali was back in England, this time to face 15-1 underdog Brian London, a working-class brawler from Blackpool, England, who had a reputation as a dirty fighter. By now, Cosell was getting quite familiar with the London neighborhoods. We join him as he drops in on Ali's training site.
Another colorful British pub, appropriately entitled Noble Art. It's on Haverstock Hill in London. Behind this pub is the place where Muhammad Ali has trained to fight Brian London. The champion has been working much with the heavy bag to get his hands in shape. He did not do this for the Chuvalo fight and paid dearly for it. Watching the workout, his brother Rahman Ali. Always the eye of the brother on the other brother. His name used to be Rudy Clay. The quickness of Clay's hands on the light bag is always a thing to behold, always a thing to attract the crowd. But this is what they really love, the ballet of the feet, because as Georges Carpentier, the once great French light heavyweight, was wont to say, Clay, more than any other heavyweight in history, fights with his feet as much as with his wrists, shoulders, hands, arms.
Well, the champion is apparently about to conclude his final workout prior to the London bout. Let's see if we can get him over here. Muhammad, you all set?
Yeah, I'm really ready for this one.
You're ready for this one, but I have to question whether or not, despite the opponent, you're ready for the London bout. There's been an observation here that you look a little too fine, a little tired of fighting.
Well, I'm not really tired. I just started training a little late, and I had to rush it, and I wasn't getting enough iron in my food for the amount of work that I was doing, so I've been taking a few iron tablets, and I'm back to normal.
Are you telling us, in effect, that you're coming into the London bout in something less than good condition?
Well, I will be in top condition, I hope. It was a emergency thing, the way I was training, but as you know, I just got through fighting Henry Cooper and a little rest. The next thing I know, I'm back over here. It seems like yesterday. And immediately after this, we go to Frankfurt, Germany to fight this Carl Miltenberger, and that's 5 weeks later, so I don't want to really burn myself out because I'm fighting more often than any heavyweight champion in history.
That's true, but the British press gives a different reason for your apparently lackadaisical performances and not sparring frequently.
Well, Henry Cooper's been coming to the gymnasium, and a few of Brian London's spies understand that they're taking films of him every day and punching a heavy bag and shadow boxing and boxing with my sparring partner, James Ellis. They're taking films of everything and taking them back to London. And a few of the hotels we've done a few of the workouts we've done in the hotel, and we don't want these people to know too much, but
you know as well as I that they say this is part of the champion's build-up of London, because Cooper beat London 3 times and Patterson knocked him out. How can you take him seriously?
Well, you can't pay no attention to that. When a man fights me, he's fighting for his life. It's the biggest thing that can happen to him. If he ever beat me, he might be the next Prime Minister of London. You can't tell. So I have to really be ready. They said George Chuvalo would be nothing, and Chuvalo turned out to be tougher than Liston, Patterson, as far as knocking him out is concerned. They went the limit. So I'm not paying much attention to him. London's tough, he's rough, he's in shape, and I have to be in shape to even stay in the ring 15 rounds, even if I'm winning.
You mentioned Chuvalo, and there are those, of course, who liken London to Chuvalo because he's supposed to be a mauler, a brawler, and not necessarily a clean fighter.
Hard to knock down, and you're right, he's got a habit of butting and doing a few things that's illegal. But my speed and my talent should overcome all of that.
How long will it take you to knock him out?
Well, I'm not predicting, Howie. I'm tired of saying the world know now that all of my predicting days over. So we just hope for a good fight. And as you know, he's doing all the talking now. So he's going to really be fighting to back it up. So I expect a good fight.
You repeat that if you lose, you'll quit.
Any man that beats me in the ring, whether it be Brian London or Miltenberg or whoever it might be, we will retire that night.
Can any man beat you? In your heart and mind, are you capable of being beaten?
Well, I never really thought about it, Howie, but I'll leave it up to you. Do you think I can be whipped?
Only if Jimmy Brown goes into the ring with you.
Jimmy's the greatest in football. He's the best in football. He will admit that, and I'll have to admit that I'm one of the best in boxing.
Just one of the best?
Right.
So you have changed?
I'm just being myself, Howie. I'm letting you do all the talking and popping off now.
Have a good fight. Good luck to you, Muhammad.
All right.
Just over a month after beating Brian London, Ali was defending his title in Frankfurt, West Germany, where he was a 10-1 favorite against the European heavyweight champ, Carl Mildenberger. Let's join Howard and Muhammad and a few young Germans taking in the riverbank ambiance in Frankfurt, September of '66.
This is what the champion sees every day when he leaves the gym. The historic landmark of the city of Frankfurt, the dome of St. Bartholomew's Church. Here on the banks of the colorful Main River in the heart of Frankfurt, West Germany, is where the champion comes every day after his workout. And as you can see, the children gather and he has an awful lot of fun with them. In fact, he's become the world's #1 world traveler, haven't you?
Well, yes, I imagine why you say this, because my last 3 fights are here in Europe, 2 in London, England, 1 here in Frankfurt, and I believe this is as far as I can go in Europe, here in Frankfurt, Germany, and after this we'll return to the States to fight. And not only am I the world traveler, you also, I imagine, the #1 world traveler sports announcer, because of me fighting in all these European countries, you are getting a chance to see the world free.
You know something? I never thought of that.
something to think about, Howard. And you should quit asking me so many tough questions all the time, because after all, I'm showing you the world, man.
Ali genuinely liked Howard Cosell. He felt that he was a professional, which was important to Muhammad. He felt that Cosell was sympathetic to him and the political positions he took. Cosell was one of the people who early on called him Muhammad Ali, which Ali, of course, appreciated. And Cosell, he more than liked Ali, he adored Ali.
Mildenberger, is the southpaw style really a problem?
Oh, that's not too tough. I think he shouldn't be a problem. Maybe for the first 4 rounds, when he has his stamina and his energy, and he may be pretty tough. But after, I have 2 sparring partners here now. I'm getting used to the southpaw style, and I believe he might give me a little trouble for 3 or 4 rounds, but after that, we shouldn't have no trouble.
In other words, an early knockout, the 6th at the latest.
I'm not predicting a knockout, Howie. All of my predicting days over, but I do predict a good fight. Everything is unrehearsed. We never know what's going to happen. I'm just going in to do my best. And if we see the opportunity early, we'll get him. If we see it late, we'll get him. But I'm not looking for the fight to go to distance. But if it do, I'm sure that I would win it.
Seem a little cocky this time, maybe a little complacent. Maybe you regard Mildenberger as the bum so many of the sporting press seem to think he is.
Well, I'm not being cocky, Howie. I'm just confident, and I really am confident, and I really believe that I'm ready. I'm in top-notch condition. I'll be about 7 pounds lighter than I was when I fought Brian London, much faster. And I don't consider him as a bum. Some German reporter asked me the other day, don't you think that you're just picking on bums and you choose the bum when you choose Mildenberger? I said, I don't see that why you would call Mildenberger a bum, and especially you've been a German too, and Mildenberger's the champion of all Germany, all Europe, and you have millions of men in Europe, and he's the tops overall, and if you rank Mildenberger as a bum, what do you say about yourself and other men? Then he said, well, you're right, that makes a lot of sense, and he took it back because he didn't want to be called a bum. But Mildenberg is the champion of all Germany, the champion of all Europe, and he is the 3rd ranking heavyweight in the United States and the world. So what more can I do but fight the top men?
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
And don't fall in the water.
Oh, thank you. That's
Okay, kids, come on in. You can get your autograph. And so, as we began it, on the banks of the River Main in Frankfurt, West Germany, the champion of the world.
Howard Cosell has become quite a regular at Ali's training camps. As the champ prepares for the German southpaw Carl Mildenberger, Cosell and Angelo Dundee are on the scene.
The champion is now sparring with a British southpaw, Jack Bodell. I'm going to ask Angie Dundee to take over and tell us what he's doing.
Well, you're looking at the champ right now in the best condition that he's been in since his last 3 fights. That's hard to say because he won all of them, but he's at his peak.
This is not a bad exchange. He's given the champ a workout.
Always giving him an excellent workout, and he's giving him what I want. He's pitching at him from the wrong way because he is a southpaw.
Now, are you worried about the champ trying to change his style and move to the right? Notice he's been moving a little to the right during this workout instead of his natural style of moving to the left.
No, he'll move to the left like he did then. He'll naturally move to the left. And I think that'll counteract any southpaw slants. Now, the hook is what we're working on also, because a southpaw is susceptible to left hook, not only right hands.
You worried still about a foreign country decision against you?
Well, you know I am, because here I'm in a foreign country. The fellow's going to be for a hometown crowd. We got 2 foreign officials, only 1 American, so that adds 2 to 1, Howard.
Down. He was knocked down. Swaley with the straight right. Round 12. His eyes are mass slits now. He is fighting on courage and courage alone, Mildenberger is. Now the nose is bleeding. The straight right. Oh. Teddy Waltham is stopping this bout. It's a technical knockout at 1 minute, 32 seconds by our clock of the 12th round.
And I'm going to go up into that ring to talk with the champion and pay, if I can, my respects to a beaten challenger, but a most courageous one. Muhammad, there's one question that's going to be raised. I raised it openly on the air, and then I'm going to let you go. I said you couldn't put this man away, that your ability to punch would be doubted. What about that?
Well, I hit him with a couple of punches, left hooks that knocked him down once, and one right which knocked him down and turned him completely over. So
we are now
determined, but he was gone, I believe, if the man had let the fight finish.
All right, we are now in near riot conditions. Congratulations to you, champ, and thank you very much. Congratulations to you, Carl. You're a most courageous man.
Ali's hard-earned victory in Frankfurt would be the last time the champion would fight on network TV for 7 years. His absence was due in large part to the rise in popularity of closed-circuit television. It was also because of his political and religious convictions. Advertisers didn't want to be affiliated with Ali on home TV. Ali's tour of Europe in 1966 featured very little downtime for the heavyweight champ, who was understandably nervous at times because of his ongoing battle with the draft board back in the States. And who was at his side the whole time? Howard Cosell. He supported Ali during troubled times, but he was also there to question Ali's punching power and the validity of his opponents. The Ali-Cosell rapport grew by leaps and bounds during their time in Europe, and it was definitely starting to show on the air.
Are you taking Zora Foley too lightly?
Why would you say that?
Because every indication has been that you're confident that you can beat Zora.
I'm confident I can whip all of them. This ain't nothing new. My image has been confident. What you trying to make it look like something new for? I'm always confident I can whip all of them.
You're being extremely truculent.
Whatever truculent mean, if that's good, I'm that.
What is the reach, Angie?
If he wants to agitate you into a fight, I'll get you.
7 feet.
That's right, 91, 92 inches.
All right, now measure the champ, will you?
And then measure you.
Would you just back off and let them come into camera?
You're the one getting this man in trouble.
May we have your reach, please, champ?
Reach don't mean nothing. Terrell had a reach, too. Terrell had a bad jab when the fight started. You couldn't find it.
Wait a minute, Angie.
This is belittling to me, a world champion and a basketball player.
He's 78 inches and a half.
The Ali Chamberlain shenanigans showed that Ali was indeed desperate for income and opponents. The fight never came off, even though the pairing of these two giants made for good television, especially with Cosell thrown into the mix. 11 days after the broadcast with Wilt, Ali was set to take on Zora Foley at New York's Madison Square Garden. It was the first heavyweight title fight at the Garden in 16 years, and with his military induction looming, Ali hinted before the fight that this might be the public's last chance to see him in action for a while. Foley managed to hold his own for 6 rounds, but halfway into the 7th, Ali launched 2 quick rights to Foley's jaw, knocking the challenger down. It was Ali's 7th title defense in 12 months, and his last fight before going public with his official position on the draft. On April 28, 1967, Muhammad Ali refused induction into the U.S. Army. Through all the worrisome litigation following his refusal, he remained confident that justice would prevail. Cosell, meanwhile, was outraged that Ali would be denied his due process when boxing commissioners around the country immediately stripped him of his boxing licenses. An indictment by a federal grand jury would follow in May, and it would be 3.5 years before Ali would fight again. Suddenly, boxing's most charismatic fighter was gone. During that enforced period of idleness, Ali may have been quieted, but Cosell continued with his very vocal support of Ali's cause.
When Muhammad Ali refused induction into the armed forces on the steps of the Houston courthouse, Howard Cosell was about the only journalist in America that took the position that Ali was being denied his constitutional rights. Ali clearly knew that, clearly respected Cosell's stance on it, and I think it surely solidified the relationship between the two of them forever.
Meanwhile, professional boxing carried on. In February of 1970, Joe Frazier won the heavyweight title in a unification bout. After an exhaustive effort to get Ali back into the ring, his handlers finally arranged for him to fight in Atlanta, Georgia. During his exile, Ali never gave up his dream to regain the heavyweight title. Now, in order to fulfill that dream, he would have to defeat Joe Frazier. But as he began the pursuit of that goal, the question on everyone's mind was whether Ali could ever be the fighter he once was.
It became the paramount question because he will be allowed to fight, apparently, in Atlanta, Georgia on October 26th against Jerry Quarry. And as a precursor to that bout, as most of you know, he was allowed to fight 8 exhibition rounds at Morehouse College in Atlanta on September 2nd past. And Muhammad, I think right now we should establish what those 8 exhibition rounds established for you in your mind in terms of your ability to come back.
Well, as you know, I only had a 10-day notice for that exhibition, which was really impossible to get in shape. But all I could do was really do a lot of running and road work. And mainly I was satisfied because 8 3-minute rounds, I was able to stay on my toes and constantly move. And this is the first thing they give in fighters, and mainly heavyweights, is their legs. They're tired and they can't keep moving and they take a lot of punches. And I was satisfied because I was moving. It's just about as good as ever, but just had a little extra weight on me.
There it is now, Muhammad, just before the start of round 1 against Rufus Frizzell. Must have felt strange.
Well, yes, it really did. After being off 3 years and reading various write-ups about does he still have his speed, can he still dance, he's overweight, how would he look? Well, I wanted to know that myself. And if you notice, I'm concentrating and moving. I would say it's just as fast and punching now, just as fast as I did in my last fight.
You think you're as fast there as you were against Foley?
Right now, just the way I'm circling and jabbing and moving is just as fast as any fight that I've ever fought. The way I'm ducking the punches, the way I'm shooting them out and getting back is just as quick. As a matter of fact, I would say much quicker than all of your previous fighters who are in condition today.
Look at your stomach.
Well, that's natural. I only had a 10-day notice for this exhibition. I was up to 240 pounds, and now I'm 226 for that. I dropped from 240 to 226.
Did you feel very quickly into that round, which we just looked at, that you still had punching power? Could you tell?
No, I wasn't concentrating on punching power in that exhibition, nor hurting the fellows I was working with. I was mainly concentrating on my legs, getting in and getting out, because my defense is in my dancing ability. And if I'm right on my toes, I don't have too much trouble with getting hit.
But my ultimate question is, do you know that you can still punch, and if so,
well, I really don't know. I really can't say, because I haven't really went into training, and I haven't really been up against stiff competition in 3.5 years. So, but I figure if I condition myself, I could.
All right, you're looking at action in the 3rd round. Muhammad Ali in the white trunks against George Hill of Philadelphia at 205 in the dark trunks. An exhibition, 4-round exhibition fought in Atlanta, Georgia, Morehouse College, September 2nd of this year. We're about ready to go into part of round 4 against George Hill. And I'll give you this, Ali, at the end of round 3, you really were punching swiftly with the hands. But let's take a look at round 4 and get a gander at the old-time Ali shuffle. You feel that you were the old Ali in the shuffle as you went against Hill? Did you?
Yes, people wanted to see it, and they kept hollering from ringside, do the shuffle, and I thought I'd do it a couple of times.
All right, let's take a look at it right now. There you go. Not too bad for an old man, 16 pounds overweight.
There, I just did it. There it is again. And it's kind of rough because in the middle of it, if you don't watch it, you can be hit. And the people, as you see, were standing, and this is what they wanted to see. And my timing was just about accurate, and I was really surprised at myself.
Well, that was it. There were your rounds against George Hill. And now a number of questions, I think, still remain for you to answer to the public. One basic one I will try to. As you know, for years, Muhammad Ali has not been allowed to fight. He couldn't get a license anywhere. There is a state senator in Georgia named Leroy Johnson. Georgia does not have a state athletic commission. The city of Atlanta does. Through the auspices of Senator Leroy Johnson, Ali got a boxing license in the city of Atlanta. That's how the exhibitions were held, and that's how presumably the fight against Quarry will be held. Now a couple of questions for you, Muhammad. First, do you look past Quarry even now to Joe Frazier?
Well, right now I'm concentrating mainly on Quarry. Frazier's people said that they want a chance at the Rio Championship. Wherever they go, they hear my name, and people are constantly debating could Frazier defeat myself or not. And I think Frazier deserves a right to have a chance at the Rio Physical Championship. right now Quarry's on my mind, but they have said, Frazier's people, if we get a license and can prove that we can fight, then wherever it is, they will be there. So this fight would mean a lot if it could go off, and then Frazier could finally meet me for the showdown.
Well, could you beat him? To beat him, you'd have to be the fighter that once you were.
Well, I would have much more time. This Frazier fight was scheduled for this date. Now I'm glad it's not coming off, because I probably wouldn't have been like I should for Frazier. I won't for Quarry, but Frazier's much better fighter in a way than Quarry because he's stronger. You need better conditioning. So I would say I think I would have enough time to get ready for Frazier.
All right, with that out of the way, do you regard yourself as a kind of living Jack Johnson, all of that which has happened to you?
Well, no, I don't. Different things that he stood for and I stood for, complete opposite. But I would say, in a way, Jack Johnson was a fighter that he was in exile for a while, and then they found the Great White Hope, as they called it, to fight him, and they caught him when he was out of shape. And then he fought in an odd place.
Well, isn't that like this situation? You out of shape and Jerry Quarry, white?
You can look at it that way.
All right, final question. Your greatest trial may not be in the ring. It may be with the American public, most of whom deeply resent your stance with regard to military induction. Are you prepared for what you might receive?
Well, you say most of them, but I walk the streets every day, and I never run into hecklers. And mainly in Georgia, everybody was supporting the fight, and they were with it. And I look at all of the black youth today and all of the white youth, and they don't seem to have no hard feelings at all. And many of the public now, the senators and all of them.
If Joe Frazier whoops Muhammad Ali, I'm going to get on my hands and my knees in Madison Square Garden, right in the rain, and crawl all the way to his corner, look up to him and say, "You are the greatest. You are the true champion of the world." And we'll crawl back over to my corner just a little bit.
Having just seen Ali in a typical pose, we want you to see Joe Frazier the way he really is. Tense, dedicated, facing the greatest challenge of his life. But always, to relax Joe, there is his music.
I think I can whoop Joe Frazier. This might shock and amaze you, but I will retire Joe Frazier. It's the biggest fight because for the first time you've had a witty, quick, fast-talking heavyweight champ. When the most of them ask him the question, "How do you feel, champ?"
The face that Ali put on to promote the Frazier fight infuriated Joe Frazier. One of 13 children, Frazier was a proud blue-collar family man. He resented being ridiculed by the nimble-tongued Ali. Ali's scripted animosity fueled Smoke and Joe's fire for a matchup that didn't need any added friction.
Leading up to Ali Frazier won, Ali painted Joe as an Uncle Tom. He took the English language and ripped Joe apart with it. And Joe didn't understand why. They were both getting a flat fee. None of that was necessary to build the gate. Now, from Ali's point of view, Joe Frazier was the symbol of his own oppressors, and I can understand Ali's resentment and anger.
Two undefeated heavyweights, each with a claim to the title, each guaranteed $2.5 million, the largest purse to date. Ali, the loudmouth Muslim, against Frazier, the soft-spoken Baptist. The bout was shown only to a closed-circuit audience on March 8, 1971, and the rights to the footage had not yet been released when 5 days later, Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali looked back at the fight of the century.
Madison Square Garden Center, March 8, 1971. The air almost eerie. You could almost cut it with a bite. Today on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the dethroned heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali, reviewing the Ali-Frazier fight. Joe Frazier, supposed to be with us, struck down by the flu bug yesterday, will not be with us. His manager, Yancey Durham, scheduled to appear, has not yet shown. With that backdrop, gentlemen,
And I take it you're feeling well enough to do this, champ. I don't see a scratch on you except for that swollen jaw.
Swollen jaw, that's about all.
Forgive me for calling you champ. Ex-champ.
Right.
Okay. Let's get started then with Leroy Neiman's sketches, buttressed by some photographic slides, which hopefully will show you how this fight took place. Now, that's the first one, round 2. Ali, you felt completely in control.
Right. My plan that night was mainly to go the 15 because I knew how rough Frazier was. I saw how much stamina he had in his previous fight. So my goal was to go 15, even if it meant fight mostly flat-footed like I did, and win mostly on points.
All right. Did you have to do this? Part of the bizarre, curious proceedings of the whole evening was the fact that at this point, in a clinch with Joe, you are looking out at the crowd, laughing.
Something we both did, which I think we shouldn't have done, and I think this had a bearing. As a matter of fact, I found out on my losing the decision was the clowning involved in playing with Frazier, where I should have been actually punching.
We go to round 4, and Joe is beginning to get to you. Now, this, as you can see, is the left to the hip area that you mentioned earlier.
Right, mostly body punches is the only thing Joe really, I would say, last in effect the punches had on me, as far as soreness is concerned, was those hip punches there, and a couple of hard hooks to the head, which really shook me. But no face punches, Harley, as far as cuts or bruises. I was really surprised myself. I didn't have one scratch or one nothing but the swollen jaw.
But what was the effect of those hip punches?
Well, they hurt the minute they landed, but after 2 or 3 seconds, the pain would leave. But the next morning, I could barely walk because of those hip punches. Real hard, right on the hip, bust a bone right there. And you can feel it when they land.
Now, this is round 8, and here, I thought, almost the most bizarre moment of the fight. You're back to the ropes for a solid 2 minutes. Joe pummeling you. What sense did this make?
This may surprise you, but not one of those blows hurt, nor did one of them really land, nor did it take anything out of me. It took a lot out of Joe as far as punching is concerned, and then when you can almost just stand there for 2 minutes, this is a mental thing I use it on Chevalo. When you just stand there and let a man just take all his shots, just let him go crazy, and don't do nothing, this hurts a fella inside. It kills him, makes him say, well, if he can just stand there for 2 minutes and let me punch and can't do nothing, what am I going to do if he start moving and start fighting back? It takes a little out of fight.
But that slide refutes you. It didn't take anything out of Joe because as round 8 ended, Joe waved his hand at you in apparent mock contempt.
Right. Well, that's what I was doing for the past 5 or 6 rounds. In one round, he did it, and that's the round they showed here on TV. But this is just something that both of us did, and I'm sure his trainers and advisors told him, and I'm sure that if I'd listened to mine, I wouldn't have clowned and did the things that I did.
Let's pick up then with round 9. That was probably your best round of the fight, Ali.
Well, I really don't know. I'd have to look at the films again. It's hard to really tell by drawings, but films actually show how many times I hit him and how many times he hit me. And overall, the 15 rounds, I could tell.
Well, this slide, I think, is expressive, Muhammad. This was when you captured him with that straight right, and it was at that one point in the fight that Joe seemed staggered. The knees, perhaps wobbly, the legs a little bit rubbery.
As I said, drawings and picture can only show one punch. I think I landed about a flurry of 9 or 10 punches in this thing here.
Well, the consensus was that you won this round from all 3 officials. Then, of course, we came up to the next round, round 10, and Ali was still basically on his toes and doing pretty well. Do you remember that round
Yes, I
at all?
think I was doing pretty well up until the time I found myself
Up until then.
Right,
Round 11.
Then in the time I got knocked down. Those are the 2 rounds that I know I'd lost.
But we must dwell on this, because that curious scene spoke for itself. In the corner again, in your curious fashion, and the arm, the right arm, on the rope strand. Why? Because it was that left that made you wobble all about the ring. You waffled about the
I got tagged. I can't say. That was the hard. I couldn't say not.
Why were you in the corner with your arm on a rope strand?
Well, mainly to everything that I did was my battle plan to go the distance where I could lose if I did have to lose, it was a decision, see. So
Isn't that an admission that you went in kind of with defeat staring you in your face?
I'm sure that by the actual punches landed, there's nothing to protest about, nor am I now, but
As far as the actual punches landed, and for the whole 15 rounds, before I was knocked down, I know I was ahead.
Well, that, of course, is your opinion.
My opinion, right. That's
the
all I'm saying.
overwhelming majority disagree
of the judges, right. But I was the one in there feeling them and doing the hitting. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as on points, I was ahead until I got knocked down.
Now, we've just been watching the sequence that ensued that blow in the 11th. You almost went down, but didn't.
Right.
From that time on, regardless of your protestations, you must admit that you were not the fighter you had been in the earlier going.
Well, natural, after getting tagged, I was more careful. It wasn't that like in the early going, I was out mostly after him, but I was mostly on the retreat and being extra cautious because after getting tagged once, it's easier to go the second time. So I was mostly being cautious. I can't take nothing from Joe Frazier. He's a heck of a fighter, and the hardest punch I've ever met.
All right, let's go to the 15th round. Again, the big punch.
There was another surprise on left hook. I didn't see it coming.
One,
nothing.
You didn't see it coming?
Didn't even see that one coming, no. He tagged me.
Down you went. Let's watch the sequence of it. The blow has just been landed, and you begin to go down. Did you have any thought? Was it possible to even think at the moment, or were your senses totally dull?
Well, you have a numb feeling. It's not pain. It's just a jar, like a stun. And the next thing you know, you hear the man saying 1, 2, and 3, I was up. But I was conscious that I was down, I was in a fight, and I just got tagged. I was conscious it was the last round. I didn't remember the punch coming, nor did I feel any pain, but I knew I had to get up.
You went down in style, and Frazier and Durham rejoiced. If you get a rematch, will you fight differently? You said earlier that no man could dance for 15 rounds against the likes of Joe Frazier, but will you dance more?
It's possible, but I wouldn't plan on it because earlier I had to do this because of my age against older fellas. But I'm pretty strong now. But if we met, if time permit, I'm sure we would have a rematch. And the clowning as far as playing with him and just taking punches out and just hitting him real easy. And as far as talking in the crowd and making gestures after the round and just the whole thing, training would be a lot different too. The camp, I think I would have to go to camp and quit doing all the business that I was doing in training, worrying about getting people into the fight.
Are you saying now that you were not in top condition?
Oh, well, I was in top condition, but I think I could have been in better condition. Like, for an example, I stayed in Madison Square Garden in a dressing room all that day, sleeping on a cot, instead of going out because too many people at the hotel, and to get back in the garden, it was too crowded, so we slept in the garden all day, which the rest wasn't exactly proper. But I could do a lot better.
Were you happy about the promotion? After all, you have proclaimed yourself through all of the months and years the people's champion. And yet, 1 million or so people saw this fight, Muhammad. True, it brought you $2.5 million, but was this right, in your opinion?
Was what right?
The kind of promotion we had where...
Well, it didn't bring me $2.5 million. I want to say here on TV, the federal government took from me and Frazier about $1,500,000. Then the New York state taxes took, plus that, $384,000. Expenses come to 200 and something thousand. So you take off $1,500,000.
All right, that's
so
the
let's get that straight. So we don't get
it.
$2.5 million. Quit telling people all the stories.
I'm not telling anybody any stories, and there's no reason to involve the people with the fact that New York State slapped a jeopardy assessment against both you guys.
Right. So we don't get the money.
But tell me now, do you think it was right that all of the little people of this country couldn't see that fight?
Well, I don't have nothing to do with it. I wasn't a promoter, and I can't say. I wished everybody could have saw it. But I don't know what the tickets sold in the theaters and all that wasn't my business. I had enough, my hands full with Joe Frazier. Don't you agree?
I agree. I agree, and I want you to face the camera so that the jaw again can prove.
Right.
I did think you lost that fight.
Well, I don't. I think I won most of the rounds, but that's just thinking, so my opinion.
I think when Muhammad and Howard were together, there was such a mutuality of respect and a degree of relaxation. Even though Muhammad knew that Howard was going to probe him pretty well and be very direct with his questioning, in a strange way, I think Muhammad actually relaxed a bit because he respected Howard so much, and he also expected tough questions, so that it allowed Muhammad to maybe say things and do things that he might not have ever done with another interviewer.
One last question. You do want to fight again, even if not a rematch with Frazier?
Well, mainly the rematch with Joe Frazier is the biggest thing, so we haven't even thought about nothing else. I'd have to talk with my managers and all of the people. I'm not the last one to say. But the rematch is something I think that most people would like to see anyway.
With all the glory you've had through all the years and becoming a kind of martyr as you saw it, you wouldn't want to become just a hanger-on in the ring, would you? Fighting a bunch of other also-rans?
Well, I don't think we have no one else besides Joe Frazier that could give me a warm-up today. And I think he's the only one that could give me a good go at it. So I couldn't just hang around because there's nobody else in my class or his class.
Thanks again.
I'll try you out.
I'll kill you. Our act may have ended forever.
Muhammad, I know you vividly remember the day when you refused military induction. I was there doing a special on the occasion. I want to pick up with that scene.
As you have just seen, the heavyweight champion of the world has rejected induction into the military service. He stands with me now in his hotel, having left the induction center, preparing to leave town. He also has adopted the position that there will be no comment from him at this time for anybody, although he has consented to stand next to me before this camera, as noted. He has issued a written statement, the gist of which is that the action he has taken is based upon his deepest personal convictions, and that he is aware of the possible implications and consequences of his act. He also says that he hopes to immediately resume his boxing career, that he won his title fairly within the four corners of a ring, and this is the only way he can be deprived of it. Although he says, too, that he is aware that certain authorities in the world of boxing will seek to strip him of his title. This is not all that he says, because he thanks many people for what they have done for him, but it is, I think, the nub of what he says. And, Champ, is this generally true?
That's right.
You have no regrets or misgivings of any kind?
No, sir.
I think that's all that the champion is prepared to say to us now. And so we wrap up a story. As I said earlier, a curious and different kind, at least temporarily, of a requiem for a heavyweight.
You'll never forget that day, will you?
No, it's watching back at that film, you and I both look much younger then.
That's quite true, but unfortunately, you have to reestablish your youth in the ring.
On June 28, 1971, the United States Supreme Court unanimously reversed Muhammad Ali's conviction for draft evasion, and soon after, all criminal charges against him were dropped. Interestingly, the court's ruling was not based on the grounds that members of the Nation of Islam were entitled to conscientious objector status. Instead, the conviction was deemed unconstitutional because the grounds for the original verdict were unspecified. 5 days after the decision, Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali savored the moment on Wide World of Sports.
Ali here today a victor in his greatest fight ever. The Supreme Court exonerated him for refusing military induction. It wasn't close. The score was 8-0.
When the Supreme Court threw out the case against Ali and he was free to fight again, Howard was ecstatic, elated, joyful. Really could not have been more thrilled or happy for Ali. But having said that, I don't think he was nearly as thrilled for Ali as he was for himself, because he had predicted that would happen.
I think now, perhaps for the first time, tell us what it was like inside of you for the past 3.5 to 4 years, carrying the weight of the conviction on your shoulders and the worry about the Supreme Court case.
Well, there was really no worry or no weight. When I think when a man does something from his heart and he feels that his life depends on it, then whatever's the easiest way out, then he's satisfied, whether it be accepting whatever it was that he didn't want or rejecting it and suffering the consequences. It's all right as long as you really believe it. And it's no worry to a person who actually believes.
That's much more easily said, though, Muhammad, than to be believed, because we've known one another too long, been too close, and I've seen you in moods of very great depression, a concern as to whether or not you'd ever be able to fight again, and a concern as to whether or not you'd be in jail.
Well, naturally you're concerned and you think about these things, but you just have to play it by ear and take them as they come. It's just, I would say, it's just a big chance.
What was your feeling as the case approached its culmination? Did you really believe that the Supreme Court would decide in your favor?
Well, I knew that myself was sincere, and I actually believe what I say I believe and live and practice it. And I figured that if the highest courts of justice actually looked into my case and my past actions and judged me according to their own law, I figured I would be vindicated. I always felt that once the highest source of justice looked at it.
Now, one last question in this regard. Many people thought that you would take your loss to Frazier very badly. Instead, you took it very gracefully. Many people thought if the Supreme Court vindicated you, as they did, that you would become loud and boastful again. Instead, you're being very subdued, very quiet. How come you didn't show an outburst of joy when you got the decision?
Oh, I would have been just as happy if they had said go to jail for 5 years.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir. Because, number one, I'll be going for Allah, God, who we believe came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. I'd be going for what I believed, which is the freedom, justice, and equality for 30 million black people. But if I had beat up a woman in the park, or if I'd killed a person or really broke some law, I would really feel bad. But going for those reasons, I wouldn't have felt bad at all. So I was ready for whatever came. Naturally, I'm glad to be vindicated, but I would have been just as happy if I had to go.
You regard yourself as a hero to the black people, as a personal martyr for the black people.
Well, I'll tell you the truth here on the air, I don't regard myself as neither hero, martyr, or leader, nothing. It's up to the individual. I would say I would have to talk to the 30 million black people and ask them what would they think about me. Some admire me for my boxing abilities, some admire me for things I say, some for stand I've taken. And it's not up to me to say what I am. It's up to them, and I don't know what they think, really.
Are you a rich man? Do you have a lot of money?
No, I'm not a rich man in that way. I would say I'm rich in as far as being free, knowing who I am, knowing my religion, knowing my God, knowing my leader, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, knowing who he is, makes me more wealthy than the money, and the money and stuff will come naturally.
It is a fact that many people in the society today continue to believe that those monies that you have earned from boxing go automatically to Elijah Muhammad.
No, I owe Elijah Muhammad money. My money goes to the Washington, the government. I made $2,500,000 with Frazier. The government took $1,500,000. New York State to $348,000.
So we've been through that litany before, Muhammad. I
want
appreciate
to talk about money going to the religion because they don't. I owe the religion money. They've loaned me money, and I wish I could give them, but I can't.
That's the point.
The government takes it all. Yeah, so get that straight.
You will beat Jimmy Ellis.
I'm going to do my best.
And you will beat Joe Frazier.
I'm going to do my best.
You don't have the old confidence anymore.
I have it, but I don't want to be so boastful about it.
It's very kind of you to come by. Still another in a long series of talks.
Thank you.
And this time, as a free man, I'm sure it'll be a great relief to fight all over again. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Frazier slipped up, messed up the whole thing he and I could have done. And we got a new champ now.
You must be bitter over the fact that Joe elected to go with Foreman, thus costing you and Joe a fortune of money.
It didn't cost me, like every other month I'm working. It takes longer, but whatever me and Joe would have earned, I'll do it in a year anyway. He's fighting 3 or 4 fellows here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to be the one to whip him. That made me angry that I wasn't the one to whip him.
5 days before their rematch, Ali and Frazier got together on Wide World of Sports to analyze their first battle.
The deplorable conduct of Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, which took place at the ABC studios on the occasion of the taping of the Howard Cosell show on January 23rd, demeaned the sport of boxing to such a degree that the New York State Athletic Commission is impelled to take punitive action.
That was the Honorable Ed Dooley, chairman of the New York State Athletic Commission, at a press conference held in New York City yesterday morning, announcing the imposition of $5,000 fines against Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier because of a skirmish between the two that took place during the taping of the bulk of today's show at our ABC studios on Wednesday past. Immediately after that announcement, Robert Arum, the attorney for Muhammad Ali, registered heated objections against the imposition of the fine against his client. He said the fines were imposed based upon hearsay evidence only, And indeed, the members of the commission, including Mr. Dooley, admitted that they had not been present at the taping of today's show, and they further added that they had not seen the tape of today's show. I want to make it emphatically clear that upon request by any member of the commission or any representative thereof, ABC Sports would have been happy to have made the tape available for their viewing. Since they did not elect to do so, neither any member of the commission or any representative thereof, we are now able to show you, the viewers, and the members of the New York State Athletic Commission for the first time the taping that took place on Wednesday past.
Sit down, Joe. Why you think I'm equal? Sit down, Joe. Huh? Sit down quick. Why you think I'm equal? The brothers are here. Doing this too? No. Sit down quick, Joe.
Well, we're having a scene, as you can see, and it's hard to tell whether it's clowning or for real between the two fighters. This kind of thing has been going on all along in terms of promotion of the fight, and this time it seems to be for real, because Joe Frazier is really angry. Muhammad called him ignorant, and he's really angry. I don't think this one is clowning at all. It's a bad and an ugly scene, and it's unfortunate, I think, that it's happened in the middle of showing a classic fight between two extraordinary athletes. I think that Ali is probably clowning, but there is no question in my mind that Joe Frazier is not clowning. They threw off their respective earpieces, microphones. Joe Frazier's watch came off. There was a wrestling bout on the floor, and we're really very sorry this happened. And there's no question about it. Joe Frazier is leaving the studio now, and he is deeply upset at Ali calling him ignorant. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry, Joe. We're going to try and get this back, and we'll be back in just one moment.
Monday night, you be on time.
Everything that happened between Cosell and Ali was spontaneous, and you never quite knew what was going to happen. Quite honestly, the only one that we might have actually provoked was the scuffle in the studio. And when I say we provoked it, if you look at tapes up to that time, whenever we did interviews with two combatants, we inevitably had Howard sitting between the two combatants. But at that point in time, Ali and Frazier were in a war of words with each other, and I made the decision to have the two of them sit next to each other and have Cosell apart from them rather than sitting between them. Quite honestly, hoping that there'd be some verbal sparring between them. Never in the wildest dreams expecting it to become a physical bout on the floor of the studio.
Well, I loved it. I thought it was I thought it was great theater, and I thought it was terrific for Wide World of Sports, and it was, I mean, unlike the normal pre-fight interview that's to hype something, here was real emotion.
By all appearances, Joe Frazier just flat out disliked Muhammad Ali and resented him too for the greater notoriety Ali enjoyed, even after Frazier won their first fight. Ali never hesitated to call Frazier ugly or ignorant, while Frazier insisted on calling Ali clay. But was it all an act to promote the fight? Well, the studio scuffle sure seemed to show genuine bitterness. So it was anybody's guess as to what might happen at the weigh-in 4 days later. Howard Cosell was there in the Felt Forum at Madison Square Garden.
Right now, there's a lot of tension in the atmosphere because everybody wants to know what's going to happen. Will Joe Frazier talk? Will he not talk? The story is, as you look at some of the assemblage of the sporting press of the world right here, the story is that as of the moment, he's not going to want to give any kind of interview. Perhaps this is because of the skirmish that so many of you saw yesterday on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Joe, I understand that your wish not to grant any interviews, but rather to just go back and rest. Is that true?
I'll always be able to talk to you.
Oh, that's kind of you. Joe, very quickly. Some people have
I was just shaking again.
Yeah, that's true. That's because of you. Last Wednesday.
All ready to go.
No sign of nerves. You haven't lost
That's
your
right.
cool.
I'm all ready to go, Howard.
What are your reflections on the skirmish that took place last Wednesday?
Well, otherwise I'll leave that behind, and otherwise I got to get this job done now. I feel good. I'm all ready to go. Clay said he's going to get out there and dance. Otherwise, I'm going to let him dance. He's going to dance for a while, and when he stops dancing, I'm going to ask him to come back and dance for the people some more.
Will you now predict a knockout?
Well, anyway, from 1 to 12, I'll be there. I ain't going nowhere.
Good luck to you, Joe. Muhammad, may I have you for a moment, please? Ali is getting ready, obviously, to talk to the press. All right. Do you have anything more to add after last Wednesday?
I'd like to say one thing. You gave me a lot of trouble in the past. And I've been waiting to get you on a live show. Because what I'm going to do at this moment...
You seek to take my hand.
No, not that. What I'm going to do this moment, I want it live so they can't erase it. I've been paid a great sum of money to slap you.
Come on up here. I must say, you accused Joe of losing his cool last Wednesday. Joe was up here before you, and I've never seen him cooler or more confident.
Well, I think that's because he insisted that he didn't want to be in my presence because he's nervous, he's frightened, he knows I'm ready. I'm weighing exactly what I weighed when I fought Sonny Liston 10 years ago. I'm stronger. I'm going to be dancing, floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, and I predict that this shall be no contest.
George Foreman said earlier today. Yeah, George Foreman, you've heard.
Why do you want to make him famous?
Why not? He's the champion.
I know George Foreman.
He said you in the past have never fought like a big man. He says if you fight like a big man on Monday, you can win the fight.
Well, if he fights like a big man, I don't want to look like a big man.
That's a knock at George Foreman.
I'm not worried about George Foreman or Joe Frazier.
All right, what's your actual prediction for the fight, once and for all?
Well, I'm not predicting around Howard, but I predict that I'll do what I should have done the first time. This will be a amateur meeting a great professional. This will be no contest.
All right, final question. So much talk about your hand, and I asked you about it last Wednesday. What's the truth of the matter? Is the hand better than it's been?
The hand's in good shape, Howard. Nothing's wrong with my hand.
Nothing wrong with it at all.
It's better than yours. See how yours is shaking? I don't know why you're frightened. I'm not going to slap you.
I have no fears of your slapping me, and the hand is shaking because of an allergic reaction to a penicillin shot, if you must know. You wouldn't know about that, would you? In any event, good luck to you, champ.
Thank you, Howard.
Former
I want everybody to be there early because we have an energy crisis. Got a call from Washington, told me if I could cut this fight short, it would have kind of helped things out.
That's it. That's our show today. ABC's Wide World of Sports.
The combatants resumed the pattern established in their first meeting. Ali jabbing and throwing combinations from a distance, covering up when Frazier got in close. While Frazier pursued, bobbing and weaving, angling for an opportunity to unleash the left hook. But this fight lacked the intensity of the first one. Ali's jabs got in, but he did less damage. And Frazier threw the hooks, but they were less effective. Ultimately, Ali's superior boxing skills made the difference. In 1972, Muhammad Ali fulfilled one of his dreams when he purchased a training camp in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. The self-contained facility included a gym, a dining hall, and cabins for Ali's entourage and guests. Howard Cosell visited Ali there a few days after his victory over Frazier. Cosell had often doubted Ali's capacity to regain his former glory. But after Ali's performance in Super Fight 2, Cosell was a believer once again.
We're at a pleasant mountaintop retreat in the little village of Deer Lake, Pennsylvania, the training camp of the gentleman approaching me, Muhammad Ali.
Training camp, the world's greatest training camp. How you doing, Cosell?
Good to see you, Muhammad. Muhammad, any physical aftermath of the second Frazier fight?
Well, I hurt my finger here before the fight, and I had a slight cut. In some way, the punching and the bruise infected it, and just had the penicillin shot, and the finger's a little stiff and sore, but it's going to be all right. The doctor said about 2 or 3 days, just soak it in hot water.
Mm-hmm. Before the Frazier fight, the second one, you went out of your way, especially perhaps on Wide World of Sports with me, with Joe present, to talk in terms of that fight being a racist fight. How much of that was sincere? How much was
promotion for the fight. What are your real feelings?
Well, it's not that black and white was fighting. It's not that we had this in mind. It's two people looked at the fight two different ways. And the various bigot reporters, who I consider a bigot, and the way they talk and act, which is, I expect and I understand, it's just the nature. Many of them who pick Frazier, like the last Frazier fight. Some reporters are saying Frazier won the fight. Crazy.
I'm disturbed by one thing. In your whole career, I've heard you scream, I want Liston, I want Frazier, I want Kenny Norton again. And I'm disturbed about the fact that you haven't said, I want George Foreman, because that would involve the championship, and that would involve the biggest payday of your life.
Well, at the time I wanted Frazier, he was recognized as the champion that took my title, and I wanted to come back, had so much to fight for. And then when I started Liston, I was just getting known to the public. But right now, I really don't want, it's a strange thing, I'm not anxious to fight George Foreman. Like, we had 1 billion people watching the last fight, the biggest event in the recorded records of the planet Earth's history. And the Garden was sold out weeks in advance. People getting $1,000 for $100 tickets, $200 for $20 tickets. So what I'm saying is, I don't need the crown to be recognized by the people of the world who fill the arenas. So this is why I'm not so anxious to fight George Foreman.
But until and unless you do and beat him, there will be a percentage of people who say, or who will say, oh no, he doesn't want to fight Foreman because he knows he can't beat him. He's afraid of him.
Well, I'm not afraid, and I'm not anxious to fight him. I'm constantly aware of him. I'm getting older now, and I have a few years left, not many. And I don't plan to go a few years, just 1 more year. But I always check myself after each fight because I'm more vulnerable to punches now.
You only plan to fight 1 more year?
Yeah, probably 1 more year, at the most 1.5 years. And that's it.
So the Foreman fight has to take place within that time.
Right, I'm sure it will. George is not ducking himself. He's fighting Kenny Norton, a good fighter. If he was ducking, he wouldn't have picked him. I think he's crazy. Norton might win.
Do you think you can beat him?
Well, Howard, I think I can beat him. You know, I can say I think it. You know my confidence. I don't have to express it. But I think when I'm in shape, moving like I was at Frazier, in and out, not laying on the ropes at boxing, I think I'll have an easier chance with George Foreman than you saw me fight Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier fought me much harder.
Look me in the eye. You really believe that?
Look you in the eye. I'll slap you to prove it.
Assuming you retire in 1 year to 1.5 years, as you say, do you think you'll be able to adjust to life without the prominence that you've enjoyed as a fighter?
Well, yes, Howard. This is one reason I can stay at this training camp months at a time when I used to have to be around hotels in Miami Beach or New York City around people. I'm getting tired now. I have 4 children, have a wife. I'm looking at life different. I want to start enjoying life, taking vacations and doing all I can to help the black people in that problem, ministry work and Islamic faith in the country, and I have so much I want to do. I will miss exercising, which I can always go to gymnasium or I can always do road work.
Final question. The public's interested in this because you are 32 now. How are you fixed financially?
Well, I would always try to save a great deal of money after each of my fights from my family so that they won't have to work and scuffle like I did. And it's a shame for an athlete or businessman or whoever to make so much money and don't save for the children who can't make like yourself. And I'll save, say after the second Frazier fight, I might put up in my little account in Chicago, possibly say $300,000 for the security of my children. I'm having it fixed where I can't touch it. After George Foreman, I would like to be up to the $3 million mark and just live on the interest and just save the rest for the family.
Have a good rest.
Thank you, fella, and you be cool because you're no fool.
Revenge was sweet for Ali when he beat Joe Frazier, but the victory did not bring him the heavyweight title. For that, Ali would have to conquer George Foreman. Foreman had defeated the only 2 fighters who had beaten Ali. First, he won the crown by dispensing with Joe Frazier in brutal fashion.
Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! The heavyweight champion is taking the mandatory 8 count, and Foreman is as poised as can be.
Then he pulverized Ken Norton, winning by a technical knockout in the second round. This set the stage for an Ali-Foreman showdown, scheduled to take place on September 25th, 1974 in Zaire. Prior to traveling to Zaire, the fighters sat down with Howard Cosell.
They asked me what's going to happen when I meet George Foreman. Well, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I'll tell you this much. I'm the next world heavyweight champion. The stage is set.
I'm going to kill you.
This man is built for me. He stands up straight. The press, the world's got you thinking he's so fast. We're the same height. My reach is 1.5 inches bigger, and we're about the same weight.
I'm going to kill you.
But I predict that I'm going to whip this man. I'm going to humiliate him. The stage has been set. I don't know no excuses from the odd makers after I whip him. No excuses from my critics. They say he hits hard. He knocked out Joe Frazier. I couldn't do it. He knocked out Ken Norton. I couldn't do it. And this fight will prove to the world that I'm the greatest fighter of all times.
I'm going to kill you.
The inscrutable George Foreman. One is hard put to know what he really thinks. The boisterous Muhammad Ali, and one never knows what he really thinks. Hello again, everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. And our show today on ABC's Wide World of Sports, an in-depth look at the two fighters who will be vying come Tuesday night in Central Africa for the heavyweight championship of the world.
In Central Park, New York City, on a glorious day just prior to his departure for Zaire, I spoke with Muhammad Ali about his life.
Now with the Foreman fight coming up, do you find yourself thinking back ever to how it all started for you as a kid in Louisville, how you became a fighter?
Well, I thought about that a lot. It didn't take the Foreman fight to make me start thinking back. I've been thinking about that all the time. I always think about that.
How did it happen?
How I became a fighter? Somebody stole my bicycle, and I wanted to learn how to fight so I could beat up the boy who stole it. And when I get to Zaire, I'm going to pretend George is the one who stole my bike.
Foreman is a disciple of Sonny Liston's. You know that, and I know that. He admired the man, he sparred with him, he used to go to visit him. It may be that in some respects, although years have passed, and you were the youngster then, and Liston was the older, this fight is a little like the first fight against Liston, with Foreman assuming the role of the big bad
Yes,
bad.
This present fight with George Foreman is only a reflection of my past fight with Sonny Liston. I predict that I'll dance on this man. It'll be 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. Round 4, I'll win every round easy. He'll be tired. He'll be puffing like Liston. He'll be swinging and missing. I'll be ducking and dancing and popping him, bruising him, little mouses under his eyes, sweating and cutting and sticking in and out, not like Joe Frazier, not like Ken Norton, but a scientific, artistic, fast, great fighter. In and out. Brrr, pop him over here. No, I'm over there. What you know over here? No, I'm over there. No, I'm over here. Why are you over there? See, that kind of stuff. Pop, 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 pop.
Well, being us both religious people, Mohammed and myself, he'll be very fortunate if I don't act as an exorcist and beat the devil out of him.
Now that each fighter has spoken his piece about the other, the time may have come to say goodbye to Muhammad Ali, because very honestly, I don't think he can beat George Foreman. It's hard for me, as a reporter, to be totally objective in this case because Muhammad Ali has been a significant factor in my own career. I thought, before he was idled for 3.5 years, he was the best fighter I ever saw. I still think he's a remarkable athlete, and one can never put anything beyond him for that reason. Maybe he can pull off a miracle. But against George Foreman, so young, so strong, so fearless, against George Foreman, who does away with his opponents one after another in less than 3 rounds, it's hard for me to conjure with that. After this fight, I suspect Ali will retire. And through all of the years, my own memories of him will be as a fighter and as the strange and curious and gregarious and engaging and sometimes cruel and sometimes family man that he is. I suspect that for the rest of his life, the enthusiasm
will still be there. Even when he's out of boxing, he'll be all that boxing has. Thank you.
Cosell was convinced that Ali was washed up, that he had lost the slash. He still had the speed, but no longer had the slashing left or right hands that were capable of chopping people up. And Ali had, in fact, slipped some, but not as much as Cosell really at the time thought. And Ali resented and was hurt by Cosell's judgment of him as a professional.
It was, you may remember, in the unlikely site of Caracas, Venezuela, that the story broke. What story? The story that Foreman, if he beat Norton in Caracas, which he did very easily, would fight Muhammad Ali in September of 1974. The stunning part of the announcement that the fight would be fought in Kinshasa, Zaire. Why in heaven's name would they fight there for the heavyweight crown? This is worse than the old Shelby, Montana incident with Dempsey and Gibbons. Economics, the reason. Money, very simple. The Hemdale Leisure Corporation of London teamed up with the Risnalia Investment Company of Switzerland, which later turned out in reality to be the Zaire government. They put up $10 million guarantees for the two fighters. During the course of his stay there, Muhammad Ali went to visit the president of Zaire, President Mobutu. This was actually just a couple of days before the fight. No question about it. Ali was the hometown hero before the fight, but later on the same day, the president also received George Foreman. And then came the weigh-in. And Ali, a little heavier perhaps than some had suspected he might be, 216 plus. But Foreman, who had been grossly overweight, came in at a slim 220. One had to wonder how he could get so quickly down. Except it wasn't that quickly. The fight, scheduled for September, had to be postponed till October because a sparring partner had inflicted a cut over Foreman's right eye.
Ali arrived several weeks before the original September date, and his stay was extended a month because of the postponement. This gave him plenty of time for pre-fight posturing, and there was a lot of it, including this satellite press conference arranged by promoter Don King.
I just want to see him that day in the arena because that's one place he won't be able to duck. The vibrations are against him, the planets are against him, and already he done lost the first 5 rounds. Is that right? Are we going to days? Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. And you tell all the writers out there in New York City that the stage is set. This man is ranked as the greatest puncher since Rocky Marciano, since Joe Louis. I want no excuses about George wasn't in shape, no excuses about he's worrying about his cut eye, no excuses about he was sleepy because he didn't get no rest. Because when I whoop this man, I want to be declared by all as the greatest of all time. Right. Because the stage is set. I'm 32 years old. My legs are gone. This man is strong. You talked about how great he was, and now we're going to see. Get them all out at your theaters, and you write everything you write, but I'm going to make you eat everything you say against me, all of my critics. I'm going to prove to the world that I'm still the fastest, the prettiest, the most classist, the most scientific, the greatest fighter of all time. That's right. This fight, right? That's right. Is that right? That's right. This fight will make me the greatest fighter of all times. Now, you have anything else to say?
How have you been passing the time?
How have I been passing the time?
How have you been passing the time?
I pass my time every day. I pass it by getting up at 4 o'clock in the mornings and running from 1 hour to 1 hour and a half. Look, man, I am ready. I weighed in today at 208 pounds. 208, which is 4 pounds lighter than I was with Sonny Liston, and I had to take off tomorrow and maybe the next day because I'm in shape. I'll dance every minute, every round, and I want George Foreman for men and this man over here, Henry Clark, the number 6 contender, to go back and tell the man to be ready for a dance. Dance! Are we going to dance? Dance all night long.
The next question, please.
Are we going to dance?
All night long.
Are we going to dance?
All night long.
Yeah, let the man
We came to Africa Tuesday. Came to Africa to dance.
Let the man talk.
Jack Saunders of the New York United Press wants to know, win or lose, will you continue fighting?
No, I'm planning to retire as soon as I win, and it will not be no lose. Let me tell you something. I'm going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. George can't hit what his hands can't see. Now you see me, now you don't. He think he will, but I know he won't. They tell me George is good, but I'm twice as nice. And I'm going to stick to his butt like white on rice.
That's right.
That's the greatest of all time. Of all time.
All time.
And they all going to bow.
Mohammed, you was born to do.
Are they all going to bow?
All of them go bow.
Are we the greatest?
Greatest ever did it.
Are we going to get him?
The bee going to be floating.
It's the stage.
It's singing all the time.
Oh!
24th of May Stadium, and a very good crowd on hand, and there is Muhammad Ali approaching the ring. Ali was extremely composed, the crowd overwhelmingly with him. Also composed at ringside, former champion Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier, who knew what it was to be impaled upon the fists of that man, George Foreman, finally arriving in the ring.
Within a 12-week span in 1974, two events rocked the world. First, Richard Nixon resigned the presidency. Then Muhammad Ali regained the heavyweight title, 10 years after he had defeated Sonny Liston to capture it, and 7 years after it was stripped from him. Always one to seize the moment, Ali recited before his fight with Foreman, "You think the world was shocked when Nixon resigned? Wait till I whoop George Foreman's behind."
Looking back over his career, Ali has said that the fight where he looked the best as a fighter was the Cleveland Williams fight. The fight that was the best for fight fans was the third Ali Frazier fight, but the fight that meant the most to him was beating George Foreman to regain the heavyweight championship of the world.
Fight prognosticators predicted a Foreman victory, while Ali fans and even some members of his own camp feared the worst for their hero. On October 30th, 1974, at 4 a.m., a time chosen to accommodate the American closed-circuit audience, 60,000 fans were assembled in Kinshasa, Zaire. In the first round, an aggressive Ali moved and threw right-hand leads. Early in the second, he went to the ropes, willing, it seemed, to absorb Foreman's punishment, only occasionally counterpunching, and the expression rope-a-dope was born. There was a method to his apparent madness. As the fight wore on, Foreman wore down. He was knocked down and counted out in the 8th. Muhammad Ali was once again the heavyweight champion of the world, but not without a complaint from his victim. Did Foreman get to his feet before the 10-count ended? 3 months later, Cosell and Ali took a closer look on Wide World of Sports.
When and why did you adopt the strategy or the tactic of using the ropes? Second, why did it work against Foreman and not against Frazier?
I adopted the strategy. After the first round, I was a little tighter than I should be because I had to do a lot of extra moving to stay out of his way. So I figured I would rather go to the ropes and lay there. I figured this would tire the man out, and it did. If the man was powerful, if he hurt me, I was going to move. The reason it didn't work against Frazier is because at the time I fought Frazier, the first time is when I did it, not the second time. I was off 3.5 years, and I didn't have the stamina. He was stronger than I thought he was. Joe Frazier had really a harder punch, I think, than Foreman.
Let's go to round 1. Okay? You call it now.
My strategy now was to feel him out to see what he had. I heard a lot about his power, and right away I'm going into my regular style, punching and moving. I figured that he was slower than he was. I'm surprised he was as fast as he was. As you see, he's following me. He's just stalking me. He's cutting the ring off, as he said he would do. And I'm going to have to take 3 steps to his 1. So this is, right now, I've started to form my strategy. Well, I won't be able to keep this up because this man is real tough on my thing. So right now, my main goal is to stay out of his way of the so-called knockout punch. He would have knocked out Joe Frazier that night. He would have knocked out Ken Norton that night. He would have knocked out anybody that night because very few fighters can move like you see me doing.
All right, round 5 now.
Well, right now I'm coming out for round 5, realizing we got 10 more long rounds to go, really 11. And at the pace he's going, I know there's only in a matter of time that the man's going to either fall flat on his face or he's going to have to quit. Because this man is not a scientific boxer, but he's strong. And right now he's just concentrating on getting in the ropes and just like a barroom fight, just
just a street brawl, a war. Just go at it like you see him doing now. The right nation throwing a lot of punches.
Yes.
And these punches are not really hurting.
Fifth round was a good round for him, even
Right.
though he didn't hurt you. He won the round.
I would let him win even the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and 10th if I know that he wouldn't be able to stand for the last 5. And he could win those rounds without really hurting me. He's winning these rounds, he's throwing punches, but they're not really hurting. And I'm realizing if you watch him, he's really getting tired now. He's throwing them, see? Now he just, right now, he wants to just stop. And I know this, so I'm staying there hoping he keep throwing them. He still got that punch. He hit me, but I was good enough and scientific enough to let him punch himself out to where he lost the effect. But for the first 4 or 5 rounds, he'll knock out anybody else today in the world. So I don't want these other fighters thinking that they can all pick George Foreman and start beating on him because they can't do what I do.
All right, let's pick up with round 8, Muhammad.
Round 8 here, as you see, I'm still on the ropes, and I'm doing a little more punching this round. I figure I might be behind for the next 2, and I don't want to take a chance on him being able to go like that all the way, which I figured he couldn't. So this round, I'm starting to do a little more boxing. You'll notice I'm throwing more punches and moving just a little bit. Though he just missed a hard one. This is what I predicted would happen for the fight from watching his previous fights, that he'd be swinging well and missing a lot of punches. You can't see the effect of my punches are here on the screen, but these are much harder than they look.
All right, now watch closely. We're coming up to the crisis.
You can't see these punches that they hurt. They don't really show. Now, it was a left and a right, and a left and a right, but it didn't look hard, but it was pretty hard. It was on the back of the head, like on the side of the head. That was hard, and that was hard. Didn't look like it, and that was hard. That's hard. Now, he's real tired now. He's going down, but he's tired also. You got to remember, he's not only dazed or unconscious semi, but the man, he's breathing. The man is tired.
You did not hit him as he was going down.
No, I've never tried to do this. Some fighters do that, but I never do that.
All right, Muhammad, we've seen your flurry of knockout punches. Now let's look at it again, this time with our clock superimposed, to seek to answer George's charge that he was victimized by a quick count. Down he goes.
Yes, he said he was up before the count struck 10, and we'll see now. Now there's 1, 2, 3, and you'll see that he was still on one knee at the count of 10, which is illegal. He's supposed to be up on 2 feet standing upright. There's 9, and there he is at 10, so the count wasn't too fast.
That charge done away with, we must now make note of the fact that the countdown occurred after the round had ended. There was no saving by the bell, this being a championship fight. Okay. Throughout this show, you've insisted George deserves another chance. What does that mean? Will there be a rematch?
Because I think he put up a good fight, and this first time he's ever been knocked out. He's a man's entitled one mistake, and he gave me a shot at it, and I think he deserves another chance. Joe Frazier, we have a deal with him offered, and it seemed to be that the people want Frazier more than Foreman, but if it's up to me, Foreman's going to be first and then Frazier.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's this nonsense about fighting both of them in one night?
Oh, you call it nonsense. The American and European boxing authorities might say it's illegal, but I think that I can do things other fighters can't do. And I want to fight Joe Frazier and George Foreman the same night. Hank Aaron's record was broke. Floyd Patterson was first to retire.
Babe Ruth's record was broken by Hank Aaron.
Babe Ruth, right. And people have to break records. I want to set a record that'll never be broken to fit the little image that I have of being the greatest fighter that ever lived of all time. So if I fight Frazier first and then Foreman jump in right behind him, I think we'll have to take us to a communist country, Russia or Red China. We're already in contact with Russia, seriously considering both fights. And both fighters will be paid $5 million apiece for fighting myself.
This sounds as unreal to me as your once projected fight against Will Chamberlain. I want to thank you so much for coming by. You've become a towering figure on the international scene by virtue of your victory.
And thank you for following me around and getting all this praise also.
And thank me for having picked George Foreman to beat you, for which I again apologize. Good luck to you.
Thank you,
you are
Howard.
the greatest.
Thank you, Howard.
Now, let's go back to Jim McKay.
I won Cosell.
For the rest of today.
I won Cosell.
And he won the hearts and admiration of people the world over. Through his exploits in Zaire, Ali was showered with accolades, and the Rumble in the Jungle remains the second highest rated Wide World of Sports broadcast. After Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman in 1974 to reclaim the heavyweight title, Howard Cosell remarked that he had become a towering figure, the most recognized face in the world. Not one to rest on his laurels, Ali did not retire, as he had so often proclaimed to Howard he would. In fact, he went on to fight 4 times in 1975. The first fight was a classic case of the sublime to the ridiculous, as Ali followed his win over Foreman with a bout against a 35-year-old journeyman from Bayonne, New Jersey, Chuck Wepner. Wepner's tendency to cut had earned him the nickname the Bayonne Bleeder. Despite the mismatch, Ali, because of his title and stature, was guaranteed $1.5 million. But the Ali show began the day before the fight at the weigh-in, and the unflappable Howard Cosell was there.
I'm fat. You heard all about how fat I am? I'm out of shape, and don't touch me. You've been driving with me for a long time. I've been wanting to put an end to you. One of these days, I'm going to pull your hair off.
All right. Get on the scale. Let's check your weight.
I'll get on the scale and tell everybody how fat Muhammad Ali is. The other day, you were telling me about I'm the greatest of all time. When I whooped Foreman, it ain't been but a few months. Now you're going to criticize me about how big and fat I am. I thought I was the greatest. I just whooped George Foreman, didn't I?
On the scale, Muhammad. There we go. All right, we've had that act.
Yeah, it was an act. I heard that crack. We had that act. Damn it, you think I'm acting? Be here tomorrow night.
I'll be here.
Man, get back, man. Damn it, get back.
Drew Brown Bundini.
Yeah.
So we can get the true weight.
The man's in trouble.
Ron Delaney, why does the man fix his own weight?
Because I am boxing. I'm not the champion. I'm not just a fighter. He's challenging boxing. Is this thing on TV?
You're on live, Muhammad.
I'm the commissioner.
Oh, you're the commissioner. I'm sorry.
You don't mind.
This is Ron Delaney representing the commission.
Well, don't put your hands on me trying to... I didn't know you was commissioner, man.
That's all right. I think that's where it's at.
I just figured you was another brother. I didn't know that.
With the...
200. We got Red Fox here. I can't lose. James Brown is here. Billy Eckstein is here. Pop Staples is here. Staples Singers. I cannot lose with all that soul.
All right, what was the weight? Ron Delaney. Ron Delaney, the official weight, please.
You have serious problems.
Excuse me. The official weight for Muhammad Ali was 223 and a half, discounting.
223 and a half, the official weight for Muhammad Ali. The heaviest he ever came in was against Mac Foster in Tokyo, Japan. He was 229 pounds for that one. He's more than 6 pounds over what he was for George Foreman. Well, here it is, the same old scene. The pretension of animosity.
You be at ringside, you hear me? You wasn't in Zaire. You were smart. You stayed out of the way because we were going to do something to you.
We'll be back in just a moment. Muhammad Ali carrying on in his usual vein, same old act.
I think there was a natural rapport between Ali and Cosell because at the bottom, both were just gigantic hams. Both loved the sound of their own voices. They loved the contentiousness that their interaction created. They loved the center of the stage. You almost had to drag them off of it.
We're back at the Cleveland Coliseum, live. Muhammad Ali carrying on, Chuck Wepner laughing.
Right in
All right, gentlemen.
Don't touch me.
Enough.
Right in your nose.
Enough's enough. Let's go.
What you mean enough's
Chuck,
enough?
how do you react to all of this?
He's nuts. He's a psycho case. What can I tell you? There's something definitely wrong with him.
The other day you were quoted as saying, I'm sick of the guy. He's trying to make a fool of me.
Well, I tell you, the guy's a great fighter, but we're going to beat him tomorrow night.
Yeah. I'm the greatest of all times.
Yeah, but he's a better talker.
And you're going to be in trouble when you see this crowd and these lights, and when you meet Muhammad Ali, you're going to ask yourself, why am I here?
I'm a nervous wreck. Look at me. I'm sweating and everything.
You're a nervous wreck?
Yeah, I'm a nervous wreck.
You'll be here tomorrow. Keep talking. What you going to do? Tell the people. Don't get scared because you're on television. What are you going to do?
I'm going to whip you. I'm going to surround you and whip you.
You're going to whip me? What about picking me up and throwing me out of the ring?
Yeah, I might do that.
You're going to throw me out of the ring?
Right, I might throw you out of the ring into the second row.
You really looking for trouble, ain't you?
Yeah, I know, I am.
You really want trouble.
I'm going to mess up that pretty face.
You're going to mess up my face?
Yeah, that's right. Mess up that
What
face.
you mean, that's right?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Hey, wait a minute. What you mean,
Well-
mess up my face?
Red wants to get out of here. Red
Well,
I'll see you tomorrow. Where's Red Fox?
This is what you would call old world tub thumping, and about between the champion and one of the biggest long shots in the history of boxing. All right, now, quiet for a minute. Quiet, quiet.
Let me go.
All right. All right. Muhammad, come back here. I need him 1 more minute. All right, champ, you've been doing all the talking. You've done all of your tub thumping live on television.
Is it live?
What round will you knock him
You
out?
always, I'm not calling around. I want to say one thing while we live and you can't erase this. You always said, Muhammad, you're not the man you were 10 years ago, right?
Right.
Well, I'm going to ask your wife, are you the man you was last year?
You'll get a quick answer to that.
This was the scene this Monday night past in the Cleveland Coliseum as Muhammad Ali entered the ring to defend his heavyweight title against a challenger named Chuck Wepner. Coliseum is the right name for the place because the atmosphere was akin to that in the old Roman Coliseum, with everybody expecting the lion to eat up the Romans and everybody expecting Ali to eat up Chuck Wepner. The atmosphere was almost circus-like, as Ali, looking over at Wepner, whom you now see at the bottom of your screen, first shadow boxes, and now begins to give it some of the circus atmosphere. Al Braverman, Wepner's manager, pushing Wepner against the ropes as Ali begins, like his old movie reruns, to taunt the challenge. Now the introduction of the once great heavyweight champion of the world, Joe Louis, as he climbs into the ring. And again, the clown atmosphere. Ali presumably sparring with Joe Louis. Once, if the two had been able to meet, each in his respective prime, it might have been some battle. And now the introduction of another former champion who has beaten Ali once and lost to him once, Joe Frazier. And Frazier is in superb shape, trim as can be, coming off his recent easy victory over Jimmy Ellis in Melbourne, Australia. He gives the good wishes to Chuck Wepner and manager Al Braverman. And watch this. Goes over to wish Ali luck. But Ali won't let it stop there. Taunting Frazier now. Don't go too far, Muhammad. Joe's in shape and you're not. As Joe takes off his jacket. Hello again, everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. Today, another step in the saga of the unpredictable heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali. His heavyweight title defense of last Monday night in the Cleveland Coliseum against a relatively unknown challenger named Chuck Wepner. It was labeled in advance a classic mismatch. Wepner, perhaps the biggest underdog in boxing since Johnny Paycheck fought Joe Louis when Louis was running his Bum of the Month club. We're not going to sit here and tell you it was a great fight. It was nothing of the sort. But I will tell you this. There were moments of interest, and out of it emerged controversy. The kind of controversy that seems always to evolve whenever Ali steps within the four corners of the ring.
The controversy here first came in the form of rabbit punches, illegal blows to the back of the head. Wepner resorted to the taboo tactic from the opening bell.
As Wepner again to the back of the head, and again Ali pushing him off. Ali has done no punching whatsoever in this round. Wepner, now Ali responds in kind, feeling he's had enough of the rabbit punch. He used it himself 4, 5, maybe 6 times in a row. Ali motioning, touching the back of his head. Look at that, his arm thrusting off Tony Perez. Perez warning Ali even as he had warned Wepner earlier.
But Wepner ignored the warnings, and Ali's frustration soon turned to anger. Wepner's beaten brow justified his nickname, but he found new life and whipped up more controversy in the 9th.
Oh! Ali down, apparently from the right, just below the heart. Ali obviously not hurt. But Ali apparently knocked down by a right just below the heart. This has to embarrass Muhammad Ali.
Wepner survived into the 15th. His record of 41 professional fights without being knocked down still intact. But his opponent this time was Muhammad Ali.
I think you could count on the fingers of one hand the number of people who expected this fight still to be alive in the 15th round. Countdown to the final round, and that right, and then a left, and then another right really has Wepner staggering. He can't stand up. He can't hold. Now he's up again, but he's just a sitting duck for Ali's blows. Wepner is done in. Somehow he remains on his feet. You saw him bend over, and there he goes. There he goes. Wepner is down for the first time in his career. Utterly stunned, befuddled. Can't possibly have too much idea where he is, and Tony Perez stops it. With just seconds left in the fight, Tony Perez says, Wepner has had enough. Muhammad Ali, the winner, doing away on a TKO, if that's what they want to call it, in the 15th round. Now, as you can see, sitting with me in the studio, heavyweight champion himself, Muhammad Ali. Let's get to the nub of the matter quickly, champ. Do you think really that if you had pushed yourself, you could have knocked Chuck Wepner out in the first 2 or 3 rounds?
Probably could have, but it wasn't for sure. He's never been really knocked out. That was the first time I understand he was knocked down in his whole career of 100-some fights. But I could have tried, and probably I would have gambled, because if I did knock him out, I would have tired myself out. When you go in 15 rounds, it's best to pace yourself like I did.
All right, what we're going to do in just a moment, champ, is take a look at some of the highlights of the fight and have you talk about them. The so-called rabbit punch sequences of the first round.
They were dirty rabbit punches.
I won't get to that in detail.
The dirt was allowed, so I got dirty with him. Takes dirt to fight dirt.
Okay, just a little more of the pugnacious nature of the champion who's not happy about what happened last Monday.
Pugnacious? What did that big word mean? He went to law school. Truculent.
Over-aggressive, militant.
Over-aggressive, militant. He was the one. I was defending myself.
What we're going to do first is take a look at the rabbit punch sequences of the first round. You talk over them. And express yourself as volubly as usual, if you will. Here we go.
Well, there was promoted before this fight that this man was going to throw dirty shots. Hit behind the head. There you go. Right behind the head. That's totally legal. And the referee's just as dirty as him. He didn't say nothing about it. Look at him. All them punches illegal. I hit him backside of him. Now the referee will come in and he'll say something to us now, because I'm doing it too. See? I'm telling him now, watch that sucker. He's doing it. He's doing it.
Well, actually...
But he let him do it over and over and over. He just kept letting him do it. And I don't want that referee in my corner again, because he was dirty.
That's your side of it, Tony.
My side of it, I saw his dirt, and the people watching television see the dirt. What you mean is my side of it?
Tony
Perez, I saw the dirt.
Tony Perez said you outdid Chuck Wepner.
Outdid him how?
In rabbit punching.
He outdid me. He started the rabbit punching, and I did it. Since the referee wouldn't take the law in his hands, which is his job, since he wouldn't do it, then I did it. Then he said both of us did it, and then after I quit, now if you watch that whole fight, all through the fight after the beginning, I quit rabbit punching, and I had to start holding my hand behind my head, and that dirty referee continued it. He's dirty. And all the Puerto Ricans should be ashamed of him, because he is Puerto Rican.
Well, I don't think that's necessary.
I think it's necessary.
I think it's intemperate.
It's necessary. I have
Furthermore, let's face
I have too many good Puerto Rican fans for somebody to allow somebody like that to get me on television and fighting a white man, doing everything to take my title. That's what it was, a conspiracy, and it was all to let anything happen to take my title, and I'll blow my own damn horn, because I'm free. He was dirty, the referee was a dirty dog, and he was dirty, and the world see it, and you getting on television using ABC to promote the dirt and to say that I'm the one.
Are you all done? Now that you're done, just open up that fist and listen to me for a minute. All right, let's go on with the next highlight of the fight, the so-called knockout of the 9th round. And I want you to observe.
He didn't knock me down.
We will get to that issue in just a moment, but let's take a look at the alleged knockdown, and you talk over it. This is 9th round.
Well, he was so dirty, he kept stepping on my toes all through the fight. It's an old trick old professionals got. You step on a man's toe and push, there you go, and push it down.
Well, what about that right?
Oh, that right. How's a right on my side of my heart to knock me down?
Well, here it is in slow motion.
We got films. You got a paper you can show. The camera don't show. He stepped on my toe. He's right on my toe.
All right, now you've made a fair point. The camera doesn't show.
There you go.
This photograph is from the Cleveland
That's dirty.
Plain Dealer.
All that dirt was allowed that night by all the officials. So I did my right.
In other words, that was Wepner's foot on yours.
He did that all
How did
through
that
the fight.
cause you to go down?
When you're leaning backwards, it's an old trick. Archie Moore tell you, old great fighters, Jack Dempsey tell you, Sugar Ray Robinson tell you, when you step on a man's foot and you got him going backwards and you hold him, he'll fall. It's a natural thing when you're leaning back and you can't get your grip. All that dirt was allowed. All of that dirt, and I couldn't do it. He fought me dirty, and I hit him back, and you got on me for getting him back. If I had hit him back, wouldn't nobody say anything about the dirt. There'll be no more dirty fighting, because if you hit me low, I'm going to hit you back low. If you hit me behind the head, I'm going to knock you back behind your head. And he kicked at me, another thing, too, he did dirty. The man actually took his knee and tried to knee me. I know your film didn't show that, did it? Your film was at the wrong angle. Yeah,
You finished with your tirade? I want to say one thing. Tony Perez says that you're embarrassed by your bad showing.
Yeah,
and
I'm
you're
embarrassed.
taking it out on him.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed. I'll tell you what. You tell Tony to meet me. Yeah, I'm tired of him. I done made you famous. I don't want to make him famous either. Don't nobody know this little referee. But all through the fight film, this man hit me illegal on up until the last knockout. This man kept hitting me behind my head, and why is it that you on nationwide TV, why is it that Tony Perez, why is it that all the boxing officials allow this dirt on Muhammad Ali?
Well, I had absolutely nothing.
If you whoop me, take my title clean. I whooped Sonny Liston, I got it clean. I defeated it some 14, 15 times clean. They took my title for 4 years. I came back and won it back and whooped George Foreman clean. Now, if you whoop my behind fair. We don't need no dirt.
Okay, Muhammad. An embattled Muhammad Ali. We'll be back with the highlights of the knockout sequences in just a moment.
They were for real. I mean, listen, there wasn't a phony bone in Howard's body. And I can say the same for Muhammad. He liked Howard Cosell. You know, let me tell you something. I liked Howard Cosell because he was great for boxing.
We're back with a hopefully subdued Muhammad Ali. And this will be the last round, champ. You in the 15th, knocking out Chuck Wepner. As the tape comes up, I'd like you to do the voiceover.
My main thing is to find an opening, tag him, and really convincingly win this round. And watch him closer, see him hitting me behind the head there. There you go. Those rabbit punches. And some words along here I did catch him. There you go, I just caught him. Now my main object, I see he's dizzy and falling around the ring. My main object now is to stay on him and not let him cool off, keep him numb, keep him shook up, and realizing that another fight with Foreman, Frazier, everything laid on this, and now I knew I'd have won the fight with no doubt.
Well, that was it. Referee Perez came in.
I figured the referee might let it go, but I was glad when he counted it out because the man really wasn't in no condition to keep going.
What's that you're brandishing?
Well, this is something I'm carrying around. I'll tell you what it is. But first, I want to say hello to my truck driving friends. I meet them on the highway all the time, the Golden Spike, Triple Nickel, and Giddy Up Go. What I'm doing with this is, you know, you quite a few times you've raised your hands. You've always wanted to try me. I mean, I know you wonder if you could. Now, you just take this because this is what you're going to need to be equal one day. I don't want to say that I did you wrong, so you carry that with you for a while, and whenever you try me again, that's what you're going to need.
Well, as I said, you're an embattled man today, and I don't understand the relevancy of your plugging truck driver friends on national television. Muhammad Ali, who doesn't really need that hammer, but whose face remains totally unmarked after 15 years of fighting, as you can see. Quite unlike the face that you're about to see, the man he beat up.
Referee Tony Perez sued Ali, claiming he was slandered by Ali's comments on the show. Ali won the lawsuit, but an arbitrator later ruled that ABC was liable for the six-figure attorney's fee. By the way, the Bayonne bleeder needed 23 stitches after the fight. But a young, unemployed actor liked his story. Sylvester Stallone was inspired to write Rocky after watching Chuck Wepner nearly go the distance with Muhammad Ali. Less than 2 months after the Wepner fight, Ali was scheduled to fight Ron Lyle. Lyle had become a professional fighter after he was pardoned for a manslaughter conviction in 1972. The Ali-Lyle bout would be only the third fight in Ali's career to be broadcast live on home television, and the first ever live TV fight with $1 million purse. Don King and ABC put the deal together, and Howard Cosell took center stage to announce the news.
ABC Sports, as you know, from the very beginning, has followed the saga of Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight champion of the world, and we will continue to do exactly that. Don't you touch me.
You hit me.
Champ, you took Chuck Wepner lightly. By your own admission, you did not really train for Chuck Wepner. Will you train rigorously for Ron Lyle, a challenger tomorrow?
I train the way I want to train. And you work for ABC, and you have your bosses, and you all will determine how you work, and I train and do the way I want to do. My boss is Herbert Muhammad, and he also understands that I train according to how I feel. And when I'm fighting a man such as the last man who was better than I thought he was, and we all did, Chuck Wepner, he gave me a tougher fight than George Foreman. I was more sore and more tired than I was with George Foreman. And this man, I think, I'm not really sure how good he is. I've seen one fight film. I have to do a little more sparring. But I'll tell you now, I'll train the way I want to train. They'll pay me, the people will come, and I'll do my job, and I train as hard as I want to train. You understand?
I understand. I'm not sure you've said anything, but that's all right.
Well, then, if I had a lower IQ, I could enjoy this interview.
Let's turn to Ron Lyle. Ron, I have to ask you a question in perfect candor. You're 32-2 in your career, and I think most people know your personal history. But why are you qualified to fight Ali when, in fact, you were one of the few, and it's a major distinction, to lose to Jerry Quarry, and recently you lost to the unheralded Jimmy Young?
See, I don't think it really matters what you do while you're coming. It's what you do when you get there. The opportunity's here. It is my turn. He's had his turn. He's been an inspiration to a lot of people.
Have been.
He still is.
Right. You're not afraid of him?
Afraid of me.
Ali?
Why should I be?
Why are you always in between two brothers agitating?
Why should a man in the same profession be afraid of another man in his profession? Are you afraid of other sportscasters? Are you afraid of their abilities?
That'll be the day.
Big Al.
It was a lackluster fight for 10 rounds. But in the 11th, the champ got to Lyle, stunning him with a series of combinations. In the heat of battle, Ali, sensing his opponent was in trouble, beckoned the referee to stop the fight. The ref finally obliged, and the signature raised arms of Muhammad Ali punctuated yet another victory. The Thrilla in Manila was 14 rounds of relentless action in an unair-conditioned arena on a sweltering day. Ali called it the closest thing to death he knew of. Frazier quit just before I did, said Ali, who had slumped in his corner after standing just for a moment to acknowledge his win. 3.5 months after the fight, Ali joined Howard Cosell on Wide World of Sports to talk about this classic confrontation.
Muhammad, looking back to the fight, some of us in the States were a little surprised when you suggested over there in Manila that you might knock Joe Frazier out in the very first round. Do you recollect?
Well, yes, this is psychological warfare on your opponent. Like George Foreman, I told him I'm going to dance, I didn't dance. Frazier, I told him I'm going to dance, and I didn't dance, if you notice. Stayed there, took his shots, used my power.
All right, we're going to take a look in slow motion in that first round when you actually staggered him.
My intention was to win whenever I could, but I didn't really believe it would end in the first round, but I did tag him in the first round.
Now, this is sixth round action when Joe started to come on strongly. Take over, Muhammad.
Well, right now I'm getting a little tired. Naturally, he just hit me with a left hook right there.
dazed me a little, so now I'm going into the rope-a-dope style, letting him throw his punches, covering up. As you see, we're both perspiring. I imagine we lost 4 or 5 pounds apiece. It was hot. Here I'm hitting him with a volley of punches. He just cut me with another left hook. Joe's dangerous and close. He's got a hard left hook. He's not a man he don't fight from a range like I'm doing at this moment, but he gets in close and uses his short arms and his muscles, and he's a perfect left hooker.
How much did he hurt you in this round?
Well, this round, I can't exactly remember what happened each round, but he dazed me a couple of times, but I was in such good shape, Howard. I was serious for this fight. I was in top condition. This was do or die, life or death. So I didn't play. My attitude was serious, and the punches really didn't hurt me enough to stop me, but they hurt.
Now I want to pick up with round 11, where you seem to have drawn upon some inexhaustible resource of energy, and you began your comeback. Take over now.
Well, Howard, I realize now the way the fight's been going, it could be even. Some probably might even make me ahead. Some might make him ahead. You never can tell.
In just a couple of seconds, you will begin to score with a succession of flurries, always to the head. Joe's head is the big target, isn't it?
Yes, I never believe in throwing body punches. There I hit him with 4 or 5 lefts and rights.
Right.
And these are just evening around up because he won the first half. And also I'm burning energy. I'm still getting tireder than I already am. But it's something you have to do. And Howard, I like to say that mentally, there is just trading punches and throwing punches. Mentally, you have to outthink a man. You have to plan your strategy like a horse. Man riding a horse, the one who starts off too fast, he tires. You got to know when to speed and when to slow up and when to coast and when to rest. And the experience is what's got me like this.
Mm-hmm. The 12th and 13th rounds were overwhelmingly yours. You had started your comeback in the 11th, as we just displayed, and then came what proved to be the culminating round, the 14th round.
I realized that the fight might go either way, so these last 3 rounds here, I'm looking for a knockout if I can really get it. On my toes, taking a lot of energy to do this, is tiring me, but I'm doing it. And mentally wears the man down and say, you mean after all of this, he's still dancing? This is just what you see me doing now. I'm just killing him, but I'm doing it. And Frazier stand on me. He's looking to get a shot in close with that hard left hook if you keep watching him. And my main object is to time up in close. And I have to say, Joe Frazier, I want to say here on there, is the greatest fight I've ever fought. And he's not a scientific boxer, but he would have to go down in history as one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all times. They might not recognize him, but I'm saying it because I know I could have beaten all the heavyweights in the past, and I don't think none of them would have gave me no more trouble than Frazier. At ringside, I can see Donald King, the great promoter, sitting there. He was looking real worried. I think he had his money on Frazier.
How do you rate this fight of all the fights you've fought, and in particular against the first Frazier fight?
With the first Frazier fight and the Foreman fight, I rank this as the best. Foreman, I didn't throw too many punches. I just let him do the work. Look, these are left-right combinations that have really done the last-minute damage. That left and the right is the worst punch to get hit with, is what they call the 1-2 punch. And,
can you feel the strength ebbing out of him?
You can feel it when you land. You can feel the pressure. There's another left-right. Right now, I'm feeling real good now. I know there's no doubt now I'm going to win it because of these clear shots. I really believe he's going to go. And this is why I'm pressing him like I am. But I'm just call up promoter Donald King, and we're now working on some more fights, and it might be a 4th Frazier fight. We never can tell.
And so it ended, Cham. Finally, 2 quick questions. The right lead, so effective against Frazier. The reason you're able to throw it now effectively is that the old calcium deposits that used to hurt you are gone.
I used to have to get Novocaine shots before fights to kill the pain. Now, for some miracle, God's blessed me, my hands don't hurt no more. And this is why I'm punching so hard.
Okay, last question. You told me 3.5 weeks ago, one more fight, that you'd had you full of it. One big fight, a lot of money, and that was it. Now there are more fights in the offing. Why?
Well, because I've changed my mind. I feel that I can go another few years. The fans want to see it. things in business I'm trying to do internationally, and being active champion, I can do more business and other things, and I just want to stay active so I can have more power doing things I'm doing on the side.
Why didn't Ali stop after his fight with Frazier? Why? Only Muhammad could answer that, and he had a God-given right to answer that because of what he put into boxing. I never questioned it. I felt the kid had the right to do what he wanted to do with his life. But why? The light, the center of attraction. You guys hinging on every word the kid would say.
Thank you very much, champ. Thank you for being with us. We enjoyed it as always. And that, in effect, is our show today. Ali, still the heavyweight champion of the world. Knock it off.
Welcome back to Classic Wide World of Sports. True to his words to Howard Cosell, Muhammad Ali kept on fighting after the Thrilla in Manila. He had 4 bouts in 1976, including a 15-round decision over Ken Norton in their rubber match. He also traveled to Japan to participate in the so-called Martial Arts Championship of the World, which was really nothing more than a fight between Ali and a professional wrestler named Antonio Inoki. The Inoki event was embarrassing to everyone involved. For 15 rounds, Inoki walked like a crab around the ring, kicking at Ali's legs. For his part, Ali threw 6 punches, landing 2, and in the end, a draw was declared. Inoki's kicking ruptured blood vessels in Ali's legs. He ended up in the hospital with blood clots and muscle damage. When he appeared live on Wide World of Sports with Howard Cosell on January 2nd, 1977, Ali had no fights on the horizon, and his second wife, Belinda, had recently sued for divorce. By then, the chemistry and kinship between Cosell and Ali had grown for nearly 12 years on the wide world stage, and no subject was off limits for the unrelenting Cosell.
We have in our Chicago studios, still as we begin another year, the most recognized man in the entire world, recently turned actor. He has done a movie about his own life. He's done it with so signal an actor as Ernest Borgnine, past Oscar winner for, of course, Ernie's role in Marty. But everybody wants to know. Witness Red Smith's column in the New York Times today with Muhammad's picture. Everyone wants to know what's going to happen to Ali in the year 1977. Once and for all, will you fight again?
We might. We're not sure yet, Howard. You know, I'm really undecided. I've made a few statements. I just fought Norton about 2.5 months ago, so really I'm not obligated to fight, defend the title but once a year. But I really believe that I will fight again. I wanted to get out of it a couple of times, had mixed emotions, but I'm sure that I will probably go again, and that might be in another 6 months. But I'm still trying to make a mind up because it's important to get out of this thing undefeated, well invested, still with the great image. And we are, as you know, I'm slowing down a little. My time is a little off, and barely winning these fights lately. And I want to get out on top, so I'm really confused, and I don't know what I want to do. But as of now, I'm still the world heavyweight champion. I'm still active, but I'm still deciding.
Muhammad, you threw a lot into that answer. You are confused. Now, the truth is, you have told me repeatedly, privately, you don't want to train anymore. Deep in your heart, you don't ever want to fight again. The reason you will fight again is because of the marital entanglement and your present need for money. Isn't that? Let's put it on the table. Isn't that true?
No, sir, that's not true. As far as money is concerned, we never get enough money. Rockefeller is still looking for it. J. Paul Getty is still looking for it. And Howard Hughes' firm is still looking for it. And I'm still looking for it. And you are still looking for it. And you called me up yesterday, and you set this thing up, and you know you need me more than I need you. That's why I came here to do this show. Keep that in your mind with all your smart questions. You need me more than I need you.
Well, that's entirely probable, although it's a matter to conjure with.
And also, I heard some
And if I do, you've got a scoop, Buster. Now, listen to me.
Some friends of mine told me you wouldn't eat my candy bar. There's a Muhammad Ali candy bar. You're laughing. You wouldn't eat the chocolate. You don't like chocolate.
Well,
so you know what that means.
Yeah, I know what that means. Now, listen.
So you go to Woolworths and Corvettes and buy
what you have just implicitly told us is that you want to fight Bobbick
I don't want
using the Great White Hope as a tune-up for Foreman.
No, I don't want to fight Bavik. I don't have to fight Bavik. I don't have to fight Foreman. Look, I am the Lord of the Ring, Howard. It all comes around me. I know my value. I know who I am. Don't make Bavik no great fighter or no Foreman. They are nothing without Muhammad Ali. I know that, and you know it. They might be considered. As of now, I'm the heavyweight champion. I'm still fighting. I want to tell you that live here on television. I'm still in the ring. I'm still the champion, and I'll fight who I want to fight, when I want to fight, and I do what I want to do because I rule boxing as of this moment.
All right, let's wash this out now.
I'm still the champion.
I'll tell you what...
Listen now. I'm still the champion, and I want to fight again, and we'll soon be negotiating probably with Bavik or Foreman. That's what I want to do as of now. I might get hit by a car next week. I might change my mind again. I told you I'd do what I want to do.
All right, I've got 30 seconds left. Now, answer shortly. Your religious leader, Wallace Muhammad, you made a commitment to. You told him you wouldn't fight again. How do you square that commitment?
I don't square nothing here on television with you. I'm free. Wallace Muhammad, an Islamic Muslim leader, free. And the last thing I do is explain something to you, anybody. I've talked with him, and I will talk with him. He will let me do what I want to do. If I want to fight and it's in my heart, I can. If I don't want to fight and I'm forced to fight, he says bad. I can do what I want to do. I don't have to answer to you. I told you, you need me. I don't need you.
All right.
You're laughing, but it's true. I don't need you. I never see you again, never do an interview with you again. I'm going to still be a world figure. You're just an American figure. I'm a world figure.
Ali certainly was a world figure. 4 months after the Spinks fight, Ali and his new wife Veronica embarked on a 12-day goodwill tour of the Soviet Union, and the American public learned all about his trip when he shared his experience with Howard Cosell on Wide World of Sports in June of 1978.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. At the top of the telecast, we indicated that we'd be showing highlights of Muhammad Ali's recent and thoroughly extraordinary visit to the Soviet Union. We're going to do that right now. The two-time heavyweight champion of the world here in the studio with me. And this, believe me, is footage rarely seen by Americans, or at least most of it. So let's begin, Muhammad. Right here, you're in the historic Red Square in the Kremlin, and you're going to visit the tomb of the founder of, in effect, of the communist state, Lenin.
Lenin, that's right. And I was so surprised to see so many youth following us and so many fans so far from the stage. And there I'm with Veronica, my wife.
And then a little bit of a workout with some of the students.
Amateur boxers, little boy jumping around, popping him in the belly. And he was real good. I was surprised. These are Russian news writers who are really enthused. They liked it.
Well, this is in the city of Tashkent, which is the capital city.
Tashkent, right.
Of the Republic.
That's me meeting one of the Muslim brothers there. I was so surprised to see these people because they follow very few athletes from any part of the world.
Now, you prayed inside, not outside.
Yeah, inside. They pray inside and outside the places. So many people were there, and we were inside with the leader.
I don't think anybody's ever seen you praying before.
Right, well, this is something that's not for publicity, but we let the cameras there so you can make your show much better and give you a little prestige.
What are you doing there, fishing?
A bunch of tadpoles, a little light pond, and I actually caught a few of them. I don't know if you caught it on camera, but I caught a few of them.
What is that,
That's the hotel. Looks like something on Miami Beach, but that's Tashkent also. That's Lenin's museum there.
And now you visit.
That was a big honor, walking in. I really couldn't believe it. I gave him a hug and a kiss. He returned the hug and a kiss. The press stayed there for about 10 minutes. Then he put all the press out, and he had us. He gave us a good little lecture, and he's glad we were there. Hope I come back. He's hoping pave a nice way for the Olympics. Hope my relationship with them can help the American people. And a lot of nice things. That's his interpreter, you see, talking to him in the back. That's my wife. And it was really some honor and feeling to know that he would give us 35 minutes private and actually knew me and called me by name, Muhammad Ali, and wished me luck in my next fight. It was really some feeling.
The meeting with Brezhnev went smoothly, but exhibition bouts against some tough Soviet heavyweights did not. Ali faced 3, going 2 rounds with each, and he had his hands full all night. He was overweight, ponderous, quick to tire, and displayed only occasional flashes of his old skills. Howard Cosell, the consummate journalist, confronted his friend with the cold reality.
We've got to be honest with one another in the wake of all of the years we've had together.
always, you've been a man of great pride about your ability. As a matter of pride, how can you bear to watch yourself in that kind of condition?
I did it just to test myself, to see what type of shape I'm in, how can I do, overweight, no shape at all, no rest, running the country, eating wrong, no condition. I mean, the worst thing I could do, the worst condition I could be in was there. And I managed for you all to tape 6 rounds, you paid for it, and you thought it worthwhile showing, and I still didn't look that bad. So it's good to see myself do that good in this shape with young fighters, which lets me know I can do much better if I get serious.
All right, another very serious question. When you lost to Leon Spinks, how have you been able to keep your whole posture the way you have, to have the attention drawn to you in the wake of a loss to so young a fighter, when you have been, in your time, perhaps the most skilled fighter who's ever lived?
I'm not just a boxer. If I was just a boxer, see, it's the mind which controls the body. The body don't control the mind. And I have a mentality, since I'm Muslim, and the knowledge that I've received in my few years here on earth has made me transcend sports. Like the minute I lost to Spinks, I was in Bangladesh 2 days later with 1,800,000 people at the airport and President Rahman. Now just left Soviet Union president. People don't look at me as just a boxer. And most boxers who lost the title, the crowd went the other way, but people recognize me for more than the boxing. They realize that I'm not finished. They realize I made a mistake, made a misjudgment, lost a close decision, but
Muhammad, you know you've told me that you don't like to train anymore. You've told me that.
I never did like to train, but I don't like it. I hate it more so now. But I can train for one more.
You can?
I can go again, yeah.
This will then be your last fight, win or
We
lose.
hope it to be. I would like to be the first man to gain the title 3 times, end up retiring with the title, and first one to do it 3 times and go on and do something else. That's what I would like to do. I'm not saying for sure, I promise you that when I win, I'm going to retire.
I've only got 40 seconds left. It's been written and written that you're dead broke. Is that true?
Dead broke? Broke wow.
No money?
No money. That don't make no sense. I had no money.
That's what they've been saying and writing. The New York Times did a long piece on it.
I don't understand why they could say that.
You do have money.
Do you have money?
Yes.
Well, if you got it, no, I got it. I made 10 times more than you.
That's true.
Well,
then you're not broke.
Broke? What you talking about?
Okay. Good luck to you. September 15th. And the trip was extraordinary.
Cosell and Ali never rehearsed anything. It was totally spontaneous, totally off the cuff. I believe they had a tremendous mutual respect for each other. I think they enjoyed clowning with each other. But again, Howard was never afraid, despite all of that and despite what many people viewed as an act, Howard was never afraid to go at him journalistically, and Howard never pulled back from anything that he should have been asking Ali from a journalistic standpoint.
Muhammad Ali trained hard for his upcoming rematch with Leon Spinks, determined to become the only man to win the heavyweight title 3 times. Spinks just borrowed my title, Ali proclaimed, and in a way, Spinks agreed when he said of his idol, "Ali's the greatest, I'm just the latest." 6 days before the fight, Ali took time out from his training to talk with the inquisitive Howard Cosell.
Right now, in New Orleans, Louisiana, we have Muhammad Ali at ringside in the Municipal Auditorium, hopefully waiting to talk with us. Muhammad, you actually sparred 15 rounds today, which proves all over again that you're in the best physical condition you've been in since the Thriller in Manila.
Yes, Howard, it's either do or die now. And I'm planning on this being seriously this time, my last fight. Not only going out with the title 3 times, but to retire period with the title. So I'm doing everything serious. Today was my last hard day of real working. Ran about 5 miles this morning, plus boxed 15 rounds a day to test my stamina. From now, I'll just tape off.
Now, you know something more about Spinks than you did the last time. You certainly have developed a respect for him because he did beat you cleanly.
Right, not only I, Howard, but yourself, the world, the experts, everybody know more about him. Nobody knew. I was 7, he was 7 pro fights. They said he only had 7 pro fights. He was unexperienced, just out the Olympics, never gone over 10 rounds, barely beat Scott Ledoux. This kind of publicity didn't really help me. I wanted to win, but I didn't really train to win. Now I'm really ready. I think you look at my face now, you look at my body, my features, you can tell now this is not the same Muhammad Ali.
Accepting that, then you know you have to fight differently, different tactics.
Just the same old dancing and moving.
No more rope-a-dope.
Oh no, that's the worst thing I can do, because I found out this man's got great stamina. Leon Spinks is one of the greatest fighters in the history of boxing. I know because I was in that 15th round. He's one of the greatest of all times. And to be that great, I wouldn't be so serious and training like I am. I found out, the world found out, the man is great, and you got to be good to beat him.
All right, can you knock him out?
I don't know. I might not. I'm not going to predict nothing. I can't predict a round. I think it won't go the distance. I think I should stop him before 10. I'm still speculating and talking. But I'm here to tell you now, the man is dangerous.
All right, accepting that.
He's dangerous.
There's more than dollars here.
And he's crazy. And don't give a damn about nothing.
That's true.
He just, come at you.
So it's the morning after, and champion for the third time, Muhammad Ali, is here with me. Any thoughts the morning after, reflectively, about the fight that you'd like to express?
Well, I'm just so happy I won the fight. And the battle plans worked 100%. Just what it did is what I planned to do. And I'm just happy I won, and there's so many good reasons as to why I can say I'm glad I won. I can't think of them now. They'll come to me later.
You appear to be absolutely exhausted, and your right hand hurts.
Both hands are a little sore. Both hands. My shoulders are sore. And my legs are a little sore and everything. I'm sore all over.
It was not, I think you'll agree, a great fight in terms of the actual bout within the four corners.
Well, for a man 36 years old to move and dance 15 rounds and to come out like I did after 15 years of wear and tear and the third title, it was a miracle fight. It was not just great, it was a miracle fight. But if I was 27, 28 years old, you could say that wasn't great. But for a man 36 with a 25-year-old man, to outmove him, outgun him, out-endurance him, it was not great, exceptionally great.
That leads us to the final question. You told me unequivocally in our pre-fight interview that this would be the last fight. Are you beginning to waver on that?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I want to hold my title. I want the boxing people taking my title and telling me what I got to do. I have a right to wait 6 or 7 months to decide what I want to do. So as of now, I'm still champion. I'm not thinking about retiring. I'll make that announcement after about 6 months. My hands are sore. I just came out of a big fight. I'm the biggest thing ever happened to boxing, and I don't have to fight next month. I don't have to make no agreement. So they will have to wait to see what I do.
With Muhammad Ali, retirement was a dirty word. Because what do? You stop breathing? You stop living? No. Doing what he did was special. And he knew it and enjoyed it to the fullest.
I'm not going to retire today, retire tomorrow, and give it back to him as hard as I fought for it. Let them look at my name as champion. Let the bigots and the hypocrites and enemies bow at my name for a few months and look at me.
Just one note, if I may. It's been a lot of years that we've worked together. I think you make a lot of effective points, but I think you state them too often, and that may weaken them. In any sense.
I do what I want to do because I'm free.
That's right. You've certainly earned your title back.
This is all men's day. We're free today.
We congratulate you.
We do what we want to do. Thank you. The greatest of all times. Of all time.
What you've seen here today should just about conclude the Battle of New Orleans. Although after such an event, mixed opinions are inevitable and will be aired for a number of weeks to come. I hold to this view, subjectively for myself. I think that last night was a happening. I think it was the most extraordinary scene I have ever witnessed
in my 25 years on the sports beat. And I think that perhaps Muhammad Ali was utterly right in what he told me. Because at age 36, to come back the way he did from 2 to 3 years of apparent decline and to, as he put it, dance all night, to sustain was an astonishing feat. I've received a number of telegrams telling me the fight was fixed. I suppose there'll be opinions like that, but they're too absurd to dignify. Had they had the knowledge, the intimacy of knowledgeability, to know what Ali went through to prepare for this fight at Deer Lake, Pennsylvania, they would know better. And for such people, I wish they would try to dance all night against a man of 25, almost 201 pounds, a body of tempered steel. That's why the achievement was extraordinary. And I think when you look at the whole life of the man, the kid who could barely read or write, and who can still barely read or write, but who can move from the White House to the Kremlin, who can be at any level of the social stratum with equal ease and facility, and look at the whole of the dimension of the man and the background from which he came, you've got to admit, Muhammad Ali is remarkable. So long from New Orleans.
On June 26, 1979, 9 months after regaining the heavyweight title for an historic third time, Muhammad Ali announced his retirement. Howard Cosell had been a constant through the many phases of Ali's career, a source of support, provocation, and candor. So it was fitting that Ali, showing signs of physical decline, shared some poignant moments with his cohort as they reminisced on Wide World of Sports in July of 1979.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. Within the relatively recent days, as you probably know, Muhammad Ali has formally retired from boxing. He did it by the dispatch of a letter to the World Boxing Association in which he said he would not be defending his heavyweight title. We're going to talk with the great man himself. He's in Los Angeles. We have a split screen set up. Muhammad, hello again. Good to be back with you again. First, in your view, what was your single greatest fight?
Well, first of all, Howard, I can say it's difficult to say which fight was my single greatest. I know the one that I liked the best was the fight in Manila with Joe Frazier.
All right, Muhammad, let's begin at the beginning. The two fights with Sonny Liston, your whole career jarred by controversy. There were those to this day who say those fights were fixed. At the end of your career now, answer such people.
Well, I would like to say that I can't blame them for thinking something was wrong because Liston had built such image. He destroyed Patterson twice and Zorf Foley, Cleveland Williams, and he was really a great fighter, and I was so hated because of my Islamic religion, the draft resistance, and they wanted me beat so bad they just couldn't believe that I was as great as I was.
April 28, 1967, Houston, Texas. We were together. You rejected military induction. 3.5 years ensued of enforced idleness. The press, not quite, but almost unanimously, glad about what was being done to you. Looking back today, how do you feel about those people?
Well, I can't say that they were glad what was happening. Some probably were, but I never say all. But I don't feel no malice or nothing bad because they were only doing what they thought at the time was right. Later, they all changed and realized I was right.
All right, for that. It was reported shortly ago that Bob Arum, the boxing promoter, this reported on radio and on television, paid you $300,000 for you to write a letter of retirement to the World Boxing Association. Is that true or not true?
Well, if that's true, I know nothing about it, so I say it's not true. But I was paid
a great sum to hold my retirement party, which will be here in the Forum in Los Angeles on September the 6th. And that was part of the payment for us to have the show and the promotion during the Forum, which they plan to make the money back, but can't nobody pay me to retire.
Final question, Muhammad. Are you glad it's over?
Yes, sir, Howard. I'm so glad that's all over. I'm glad that I'm still intelligent enough to speak. I'm glad that I'm a three-time champion. I'm glad I got to know you, and thank you for all the backing. I remember when the Vietnam crisis was going, you would go on television and say, if you don't believe Muhammad Ali's the champion, then get in the ring with him. And I want to say that helped me during my exile. Thank you.
You are the greatest, aren't
you? I try to be.
Good luck.
That was just used. Thank you.
Good luck to you, and it's not goodbye, it's au revoir, my friend.
Thank you, Howard.
As Muhammad Ali's boxing career came to an end, so did his unique relationship with Howard Cosell, an association that had entertained, educated, and often infuriated viewers for 16 tumultuous years on Wide World of Sports. From the early 60s through the end of the Ali era, Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali bantered and bickered, held together by respect, honesty, affection, and in the end, compassion. It was a partnership that brought out the best in both men. Which one needed the other more? That, as Howard said, is a matter to conjure with. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chris Fowler for Classic Wide World of Sports.